Welcome back. This is going to be an incredible moment. We are going to see in about 29 minutes, Elon Musk and Donald Trump apparently have a live conversation or interview or whatever we want to call it. And I think the best way to prepare for this is, as usual, starting by making a bingo card. Now, I want to make it clear we are about 29 minutes away. So 5 p.m. scheduled start for the interview. So we'll go ahead and prep together. But let's jump straight into a what's it called? Bingo card that we can make together here. And what I'll be looking for you, or from you, are going to be suggestions. So obviously, if you're watching the replay, we'll put a timestamp down below for when the interview begins. But given that this is live and the interview has not begun yet, we're pretty excited to see, okay, what's going to happen between Trump and Elon Musk, especially since Elon has donated, let's just say, a small sum of money to help Donald Trump get elected. We know it's not directly to Donald Trump because, after all, you got campaign finance rules. So let's go ahead and start, and let's jot some things down. So let's start here, and let's start with the Elon and Trump event happens, right? That'll be our free giveaway right there in the middle. And what I'd love to hear is some kind of discussion on the Elon donation to help Trump get elected. This is assumed to be roughly $45 million per month to a conservative PAC. So I'd love to hear some commentary on this, some commentary on donation. I suspect we'll probably have some conversation on censorship comes up. I think that'll be pretty clear, especially since today we saw that EU letter come out reminding Musk to, well, let's put that in the same one, and Elon, or EU letter comes up. We'll just call that an or. There we go. Where the European Union basically suggested, hey, you know, we've got a lawsuit against y'all. We just want to make it clear y'all better moderate the conversation and make sure there isn't hate that's racist or inciting of violence or whatever else. And of course, this then quickly turned into a firestorm of, oh my gosh, here's the EU looking to already pre-censor the debate. So a lot of folks nervous about that one. I see a comment here, electric cars of the future. Yes. So, yeah, and that's 5 p.m. scheduled start for the interview is in 27 minutes. So, yeah, let's an EV discussion, possibly including tax credits. I think that'll come up. I'd love to hear something on Elon suggests... or Fed comes up / Elon suggests Fed has gone too far. Obviously, I would imagine we'll hear something on woke politics or just woke ism comes up. I wouldn't be surprised if we hear some Walls trans community commentary. Okay. So we'll see how this goes. I'm sure we'll hear something on the border. The border comes up. I would guess we could throw this on over here. World War III comes up. That seems to come up pretty regularly. I think that's pretty easy. Woke mind virus gets said. I like that one. Let's put that one up. Woke mind virus is said. So we'll put some quotes on the side. Yeah, that's probably a good one. FSD, something on full self-driving. No taxes on tips, best tax cut ever. You know, now Kamala is picking that up. Let's see if copy Kamala comes up. That would be very interesting. Let's see here. Then we've got, Bitcoin coming up. I like that one. So we could do a discussion on, we'll put that over here. Discussion on crypto. And how about rockets, right? SpaceX. Discussion on rockets, SpaceX. Could be interesting. Let's see here. Crypto 100%. Cybertruck. Yes. How do you like the Cybertruck maybe, right? Because the donation that Trump's campaign got. So let's go with how's the Cybertruck? One sec. Okay. Okay. How's the Cybertruck? I like that. Let's see here. Government. Ooh, China. Yes. I think China would be very, very good. So we'll put that on the other side. Let's go with China and tariffs. China and tariffs come up. I'd love to hear something on Taiwan. Taiwan comes up paying for or something to the effect of Taiwan should contribute, right? He said this before. Taiwan should contribute to their defense. I wouldn't be surprised if we'll have some talk on Israel. Israel and impending Iranian attack are brought up. Okay. It seems like we're getting closer and closer to that potential attack, which is, quite frankly, pretty scary. So, not looking forward to that. We are now just 23 minutes away, by the way. So, 5 p.m. Pacific, start to interview. So, we'll put a little comment up on that. There we go. Okay. Getting shot comes up. Ooh, recession or depression? Yeah, I don't think the Whistling Diesel durability test will come up. The border. Yeah, these are all some good ones. A border comes up. We got that one. TikTok ban. I feel like Trump has dropped the TikTok ban. So I don't know if that'll come up. Nuclear. I like that. Let's throw this one. Nuclear energy comes up. Yeah, it's a good one. Green scam. Iran. Yeah, Iran, Israel. Absolutely. We'll see that. An AI discussion. Yeah. Okay. How about AI or full self AI discussion, which may include FSD discussion. All right. Full self-driving. Although I don't know that Trump's ever tried full self-driving. You know, the Cybertruck doesn't come with full self-driving. So, which is kind of crazy. So, it's one of the reasons I don't have one. I'm like, I don't know, man. Anyway, Elon says this is unscripted with no limits on the subject. Should be highly entertaining. If you have questions. Okay, wow. All right, he's posting it out there. I'm putting it out there. All right, we'll see what happens. Yeah, Elon did indicate 24 minutes ago, 45 minutes to go. So we're about 20 minutes, coming up on 20 minutes away here from the event. Oh, how about Russia and Ukraine? Not a bad idea. Yeah, let's do Russia, Ukraine come up. How about the EU? We already got the EU in here. What about drugs and homelessness? Drugs or homelessness come up. That's a good one. Fair elections. Ooh, okay, all right. So fair elections come up, which could potentially include including a suggestion that Kamala Harris did not get a single vote, right? For this position, obviously at the moment. NATO funding. Ooh, these are great suggestions. EU has mentioned the assassination attempt. I think that would be a good one. Like something to the effect of asks Trump about getting shot. That's probably a good. Can you call it an icebreaker? Jeez. Censorship. Got that on there. Absolutely. We'll take a peek at that. DJT. I don't know that that'll come up. Military spending, Social Security. These are great questions. Yeah, Social Security. I wonder, is Elon going to bring up Social Security? Or do we go with, let's see here. Neuralink. Ooh, Chinese competition. Children. A talk on children. I like that. That's a good one. Talk about family governance and support for children like Vance's 5K child tax credit. All right. Okay. And, oh yeah, we got walls on here. That'll be interesting. Government spending, yes. Fiscal spending. And unsustainable, yeah. I think this is a pretty good bingo card, honestly. I think we got a good one right here. So let's, I'll hide myself here for a moment so you can take a screenshot if you want to play bingo as well. Let me see if I can do this where it's all on one screen. Let's go with this. There we go. Go take your screenshot if you want the bingo card. Yeah, we got the trans community commentary at the top there. So this will be our bingo board. And we'll see what we get of that bingo board. But we are expecting this event to start in about 18 minutes now. And should be pretty exciting. After all, remember that Donald Trump is essentially the beneficiary of approximately $45 million per month in campaign spending on behalf of Trump. So that doesn't necessarily go directly to Trump. It goes into a PAC that Elon Musk suggests would have conservative, family focused values, which, a lot of folks on the left get upset about that because they look and say, hey, how come the person who's asking for EV tax dollars and tax credits, which generally is supportive of a leftist, more climate change agenda, why all of a sudden is he throwing $45 million per month after Donald Trump? And so, people like Kathy Wood argue that Elon Musk is trying to cozy up to Donald Trump to make sure that Teslas are in favor in the next administration, given that clearly Teslas are not in favor at the current administration. Current administration, which is generally tries to set itself up as being much more pro-union, has essentially iced Elon Musk from the White House and White House EV-related events, which is shocking because they're clearly one of the best and largest United States auto manufacturers of electric vehicles. So clear political favoritism there. And so Elon Musk now trying to cozy up, so to speak, to Donald Trump. So we'll see. We are now just about 16 or so minutes away, and then we'll be beginning. And we'll add commentary. Obviously, we'll listen, but we will add commentary. So that'll be interesting. I do see some memes that are starting to circulate. The memes are usually pretty entertaining when it comes to politics. Take a look at this one. Donald Trump hated for exposing the truth. Elon Musk hated for letting the truth be told. What's interesting is both of them are, run social media platforms, right? It's kind of incredible. Somebody donated $5 here. I bought such a... email is staff@meetkevin.com. It's plastered all over the website. But yeah, we'll get you taken care of. If you have any... I wasn't going to mention it here, but I think we're just getting ready because there's the Iran crisis is brewing. So I think we're starting a new coupon. Iran Week. Yeah, I wasn't going to mention it, but Iran Week, we're just getting that live. So that's over at meetkevin.com. Mostly because this is probably the week. I wouldn't be surprised if Iran tries to make a move before the Lincoln Strike Group arrives. The Lincoln Strike Group is about 10 days away. And so far, Hezbollah and Iran are suggesting that they're looking to potentially strike between the 12th and the 16th, which is within the next 4 days. Now, it doesn't look like it's going to be today, as we're already getting pretty late. Time in Israel right now, it's 2:45. It could happen. Some folks suggest that, and I wouldn't be surprised myself either, but I think it's too late at this point. But some suggest that today would have been a way to sort of spite both Elon Musk and Donald Trump by basically launching the invasion today at the time of the Musk-Trump interview. I don't know that'll happen. It doesn't seem like I've been paying attention to it. It seems like there's a lot of air traffic still in Iran, and we suspect airspace will get shut down before any kind of invasion, and we're not at that point now. So kicking the can down the road, I guess, to between Tuesday and Friday at this point is what it feels like. But anyway, with that, we're going to have to see how this interview goes and just hold our breath on what happens with Iran. I suppose there's still time for diplomacy. Anyway, we're now less than 15 minutes away from this interview beginning. We've got our bingo card ready to go, and we are on standby. So let's see here. AI is doubling the capacity every single generation. Yeah, I don't know about that. Let's see here. Iran is not ready for classic war. Yeah, no, I agree with that. Iran does not want to get pummeled. That's for sure. Yeah, totally agree with you. Trump versus Kamala, effectively free market stablecoin versus a CBDC. That's an interesting analogy. Very interesting. We'd all like to know the Epstein and Trump relationship. It'll never happen. That was a trend for a while there. This, clip of Donald Trump being asked about whether all of those details should be made public. Women with sticks winning the Olympics. That's a comment somebody said with a $1.99 donation. I'll give my opinion straight here. I think that's some Fugazi bullcrap there. Shouldn't be any biological male playing in a female sport. And I have $4. Press the big PP button, says someone. Yeah, we are gonna have sound effects. That is true. We got this one.
Nice PP.
So we'll keep those handy. But let's see what else we got here. We've got about 12 minutes to go until the conversation begins. It is supposed to be a live conversation, so I am curious if the conversation will be on time. I have a feeling they're going to be late. Now, usually the Trump events will typically, Twitter Spaces? Oh, man. Often the Donald Trump events run, about an hour and a half late or so. But it does look like there is a Donald Trump Spaces call up just now as of 59 seconds ago, so we're going to join that. It's just the holding music at this point, but we do have that up, and you'll be able to see it here. Obviously, I'll keep it muted. There we go. Yeah, I'll sort of just slide that volume down, but we'll have this. It does look like the space has begun. We'll obviously add live commentary, so this will be fun. Firing Jerome Powell. I would not be shocked at all to see that come up. Worst part of Trump winning the election, he won't be able to run again. We need Don, says Teflon Don, who donates $5. SB Ganks, thanks so much for joining. Then what else do we have here? We've got, let's see. I hope crypto doesn't move due to Trump, as he likely won't win the election, and I don't want crypto to tank once that happens. Carla doesn't think Trump is going to win. Olympic ceremony, weird. Donald Trump hosting. Yeah, it does look like at this point Donald Trump's hosting. Let's listen just to make sure it's still that hold music. Yeah, buddy. So, details not available. Did he just dump it? No, it's still up. It's still up. So we'll watch this to see who is it going to be. Is it going to end up being Donald hosting the space or Elon? But I'm actually, if this actually happens within 5 minutes of the scheduled start time, frankly, it'd be pretty dang impressive. But that is what so far it looks pretty good. So we'll keep checking in here just to see what the audio is. Yeah, we just got the hold music right now with no other speakers up right now, so we'll watch this. Somebody says Twitter broke. Can you trade a certain ETF that shall not be mentioned in after hours? I don't recommend anyone generally consider after hours for thinly traded things, but I can't give you a recommendation, so always talk to an advisor, but because I'm not your advisor. But just know when trading in after hours, you're looking for another person, and if there's no other person, there's a chance maybe a market maker will step in and at a big discount. It's not worth trading in after hours usually. So you typically overpay or get ripped off when you go to sell in after hours. It's not true of every security, not always true. So I don't want to make blanket commentary here, but I would just encourage you think about that and then make sure evaluate how that fits into sort of your portfolio. Anyway, okay, what else do people have here? So, Twitter is acting buggy, says someone. Hey, Kevin, where'd you get that jacket? Yeah. Okay, this is a Paul Graham. Robert Graham. I always get that wrong. Robert Graham. Yeah, Robert Graham jackets. He makes great stuff. It's really expensive though. I got it as a gift. I wouldn't have spent the money on it. Although I do like it a lot. It's a great jacket. So, they will make a gold statue of Powell. Hey, if Powell can stick the soft landing, that's great. Unfortunately, right now, there are a lot of concerns about a recession heating up. And so, we'll see. I mean, we got a crazy week of data. An absolutely insane week of data. PPI tomorrow. Then we've got CPI. Then we've got retail sales. Oh my gosh, we've got a lot to cover. It's just going to be absolutely insane how much content comes out, or data rather, comes out this week. And Walmart earnings, Alibaba earnings, whoo, it's going to be something else. So a little nervous, honestly. I saw going into the close, some folks were posting some options flow, and they were posting some institutions or whomever buying like $18 million of VIX call options. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's huge. Somebody's either hedging or betting on a big old spike in volatility. That's going to be wild this week. We'll see. Volatility's really been chilling out since last week. Mostly because we haven't had any kind of real juiced data or anything. So we'll see. But anyway, the Elon and Musk interview is expected to begin in about 7 minutes. We're still on the little holding music right now. So we'll get to see if this ends up breaking the internet. I kind of wouldn't be surprised if it does sort of break the internet. But we'll be here, we'll be streaming it, and we'll add commentary, we'll take notes, we'll do a summary at the end, like we always do. We always do. So we'll see what happens. Okay. We are also still on standby. I am going to be watching very closely to see if there is any kind of activity in Iran at the same time. Mostly because I'm nervous that Iran might look at this and say, oh, two people we don't like, Elon and Trump. Let's see if we can mess up their live stream by attacking Israel. I don't think, again, I've made that clear, I don't think it's going to happen today, the attack, mostly because airspace is still wide open. But we'll see. We'll see. I just hate loss of life that you see out there, and the pain people go through when their cities get burned. Even Lebanon was complaining, rightfully so, about how Hezbollah is essentially destroying their country. So anyway, we'll keep listening. Any for more? All right, still waiting. Looks like we are now about 5 minutes away from the show beginning. We do also have a bingo card up, so we'll be covering the bingo card live. You could scroll back if you needed a screenshot of it, or honestly here, you could probably just grab a screenshot of the bingo card right now. These are topics that we suspect will be covered and, topics we'll be looking for. We think these will be pretty on point. So we'll see. Okay. There we go. And then we'll all obviously also be interacting with the comments that y'all leave, just to see what y'all think about the discussion. We'll be watching this very closely. So okay, very good. So let's listen in here again just to see. No, looks like we are still on the holding music, which is totally expected and reasonable. Somebody says, what happened to the video you uploaded last week? Yeah, there was a Kamala Trump video that'll be reposted potentially this week, so we'll see. Why would Elon like Trump? Doesn't Trump not like EV? So it's a little bit more complicated than that. Thank you, Zachary, for the $4.99. You know, we were talking about this a little bit. Yes, Donald Trump has expressed that he believes people shouldn't be forced to have electric vehicles and that they should have a choice to have an electric vehicle or not. And Kathy Wood thinks that Elon Musk is purposefully cozying up to Donald Trump because he thinks that the current Democratic regime does not support Elon Musk. So he's throwing his weight behind Donald Trump, hoping Trump gets elected with Elon's support, and then hopefully he gets the most support of auto manufacturers in America, whether those are continuations of credits or positive shout-outs on Teslas, who knows? Clearly it's something that, you know, Elon is looking at, maybe even from a Federal Reserve point of view, right? Maybe he thinks Trump's going to come in, fire J-Pow, and force interest rates down to zero, and it'll make it easy to sell cars again. Who knows? Still on the holding music. We are just now minutes away from the beginning of the event, so stay tuned. We're just now minutes away from the event beginning. But yeah, great question. So looks like we should be less than 2 to 3 minutes away here. I have not yet seen Elon Musk join, so we'll watch for that. Looking at some of the other commentary here. There wasn't a poll. I don't know what you're talking about when you're coming back to Tampa. I was just in Tampa not that long ago. I visited Kathy out there. She's over there in St. Pete. She's trying to make St. Pete the Miami of Florida. She really invests in the community over there too. Big respect for her. Still on the holding music, waiting for Donald Trump and Elon to begin. Still holding music at the moment. Let's go. I'm just also going to jump on over to see if... okay, this is interesting. Did Elon join? Hold on. I don't think so. Anyway, I have still the holding music, so we're gonna wait to see. But it looks like Elon might be trying to join, unless of course they break the internet. Yeah, Elon did repost the Trump stream. Okay. Yeah, Elon is in. Okay, great. They are on. Yep, they're both on. Okay, but we are stuck right now on just the holding music. All right. Waiting for the discussion to begin. Any moment now. We're about 20 seconds away from the beginning of the event. And we'll be flowing it. We'll be taking notes, and we will be adding commentary occasionally when appropriate. We are now. It looks like there are about 123,000 who've joined the X stream, but it looks like there are a lot of folks who are having trouble actually getting in. A lot of people complaining about sort of just a gray screen trying to get in. I've still got the hold music on there. I was in there probably within what, 30 seconds of it beginning. So we'll see. Do keep in mind, this is, we are waiting for this to begin. It is supposed to be a live interview. We've got our bingo here ready to go. Still on the hold music, waiting for them to begin. Yeah, we are on standby, just waiting for, again, that to begin. So we are right at 5 o'clock now, and again, we'll add commentary as it's appropriate. We did add a new sale just for this week over at meetkevin.com if you're interested. It is coupon Iran Week in anticipation, unfortunately, of Iran's decision to invade or not to invade. We're hoping not. We just got a Reuters report that the Trump-Musk conversation on X appears to be facing technical issues, with users reporting trouble accessing the event. Yes. Yes. This is why I'm not touching the screen. Once you're in, baby, you don't touch it. Waiting for any kind of change there. Obviously, I think we have a lot of excitement about what's going to be talked about here. This should be pretty good if they can get it going. They could always join us live on a YouTube video. I don't think Elon's down for that. Yeah, somebody donated $4.99 saying Elon tweeted, "This is a conversation as opposed to an interview." Yeah, I mean, a lot of good interviews are conversations, right? They're conversational. So we'll see. Still waiting for the event to begin. So it's also very interesting that you've got so many folks trying to join this that this crash. I mean, I feel like the last time this happened was with Ron DeSantis and Elon, which also had technical difficulties. So we'll see. Oh, nope, still hear the holding music. Obviously, topics we expect to be covered: nuclear energy, censorship, the border, the trans community, wokeism, family governance, Trump getting shot, the Cybertruck, copy Kamala, woke mind virus, fair elections, World War III, AI, full self-driving, Taiwan, discussions on rocket and space, crypto, China, tariffs, Israel, the impending Iranian invasion, and my freebie here. My freebie on my bingo card is the event happens. Right now, I might lose my freebie. It does look like both Elon and Trump are in the event. We are just now waiting for them to begin yapping. Still listening to the hold music here for the event to begin. Oh, wow. What a fraud. No way. There's a scam. I want to be clear. The stream is not happening on the Tesla channel. This is a scam. This is a blatant scam. Live Elon Musk interview with Donald Trump, Elon endorsement and Trump support. This is a scam. It's a fake account that literally links to other Tesla videos, and they've got 178,000 watchers. With look at that name right there, Tesla-S5L. It's a total fraud, a non-verified channel. Be careful, like report this, however you can. But do not fall for these crypto scams. This is what should we report this as? Spam or misleading. This is scams or fraud. Yeah, absolutely. Crypto scam, fake Tesla channel. So be careful. We are still right now listening to the X event waiting to begin. The interview was supposed to begin 5 minutes ago. We're still waiting for it to begin. We are in the event, so we're listening to the holding music. But again, please don't ever fall, like, if you're ever out there on the internet and some influencer you like messages you on WhatsApp or Discord messages or Instagram and says, hey, sign up for my crypto doubling project or investment project, be very, very, very suspicious. Your influencer should be talking about that. And there should be, if there are fundraisers, there should be public filings. Be very, very skeptical of scams out there. Still waiting for the X event to begin. It has not begun yet. At the same time as we wait for this event to begin, we are also on standby waiting for massive data coming out in the next few days. Multiple different catalysts with PPI tomorrow, CPI, that's the producer price index, CPI, the consumer price index is coming up on Wednesday. On Thursday, Alibaba, Walmart report. We get retail sales. We get import prices. Friday, consumer sentiment. Coupon expiration for Iran week. Iran is expected to invade between the 12th and 16th. This is going to be a crazy week. Still have the hold music for the Donald Trump and Elon Musk event. We are waiting. Thank you so much for the congrats on 2 mil there. Waiting for the event to begin. Yeah, a lot of people are having issues getting into their space right now. Another question about the jacket. Yeah, this jacket is from Robert Graham. I don't know if it's necessarily a good thing that, Trump broke X. maybe they need to hold it on Truth Social. But it's okay. I'm in it. I'm not touching anything on it. But I do realize that other people are not able to join it, so we'll be streaming it here. I see people commenting their live exit and rejoin. I think that's a great way to try to trick people to leave. I actually have 2 instances of it up right now. Let's see here. Yeah, I can confirm. I've literally been able to join it twice now, and I have it going on 2 separate computers. This is 1, and this is 2. So it does look like they've been able to free up some bandwidth for some more people to join, but the event has not started yet. I would be careful if you are in it. I would be careful leaving it. So be careful. Be careful. If you can't join, don't worry, folks. We'll be streaming it here. Got that background music going there. Kevin, did you buy a Cybertruck? I did not. No, honestly, it's actually a shout out to full self-driving. I like it too much, I don't want to get away from it. So we'll see. Haha. Meet Kevin, Graham, Stefan, Ben Mala all in one video one day. Yeah, maybe. That sounds pretty cool. Any thoughts on ever providing courses tailored to U.S. military members and veterans? Ooh, it's a good idea, actually. But Elon Musk texted me on WhatsApp saying he needs $1,000 and will pay me back tomorrow. Right. People fall for that. Somebody says, unable to fetch the space. Yeah. Unfortunately, that is pretty common. Be a sad day if we have to watch X on YouTube. Yes. We are still waiting for the event to begin. I have, again, 2 instances of it going, so you'll hear me kind of just fade in that background music every so often. I'm just checking both of the computers. I have a Windows PC. Cue the Windows PC.
Nice PP.
And cue the Apple PP, or Apple PC computer.
Short PP.
Still waiting for the event to begin, so we'll be standing by for that. Do a setup tour? Oh, I'd have to do a new one. Yeah, it's been a while. You know, last time I did a setup tour was actually with Sarah Dici. Sarah Dici rhymes with Peachy. Shout out to Sarah. She did a video on her channel, actually. You could probably find it. Just Sarah Dici and then Meet Kevin. You'll probably find it. It's during COVID, I think. Don't worry if you're frustrated trying to get into the event. I'm in the event twice over. So we'll get you the stream. It has not started yet. You're not missing anything right now. We can... In the meantime, I suppose we can take a look at how's BTC doing right now. BTC 59.6. We've got indice futures all green by 6 basis points, so barely green. Obviously, everything's going to hinge on PPI, CPI this week and retail sales. Gold's up another 50 basis points. Still with the hold music now for the last about 20 minutes or so. Waiting to see if the event can get started. No, it does not look like any news is happening yet in the Middle East, with the exception of some attacks in the Red Sea, unfortunately. Still waiting for the event to begin. So again, I keep sort of fading in and out on this. You know, I do think... I'm very curious, by the way, to listen to Donald Trump's demeanor in this. I think Donald Trump could actually benefit bigly from, you know, having a little bit more of an optimistic outlook. Unfortunately, I think he's been a little bit on the negative side, and I understand he's echoing sentiments and frustrations, and I think that's fair. But you don't necessarily want that to overwhelm. Elon Musk did tweet, am going to do some system scaling tests tonight and tomorrow in advance of the conversation with Elon Musk, or with Donald Trump. Apparently not. Still waiting. It does look like they are increasing the bandwidth. I'm seeing more users that are able to join, but still no commentary there yet. Somebody donated $10. If you can't get in, try using a VPN. Worked for me. Your region might just be congested. Good advice. Very, very good advice. I like that advice. Then we've got... Let's see what else we have here. Okay. Okay. Yep, we're getting close, hopefully, to this this beginning here. That would be nice. And then we can listen to the debate, or interview, I should say. Still on hold music, though. Okay, no problem. No problem. We'll keep watching. We'll keep listening. So, what else? We have... Let's find some other news, I suppose, in the meantime, while we wait. Yeah, still front page of the Wall Street Journal as Israel puts military on high alert. They're getting close. They're seeing a lot of preparations. You actually just had reports that Hezbollah has moved their furniture and office equipment out of the capital of Lebanon, Beirut, so they can minimize the damage from a reaction or sort of retaliation from Israel. Maybe even a preemptive strike. Somebody says the VPN trick worked. Ooh, nice. Good idea. We should see Musk show off the tips in crypto for X. Ooh, for the X digital wallet. Yes. Somebody donates $4.99 to say ball. Wow. Algo Sniper says someone else for $4.99. Okay, waiting for the event to begin. Still not live. Still waiting for the event to begin. A lot of people having issues joining on X. We are just listening to the holding music right now. Remember, folks, I just want to be very clear here. This is going to be a live discussion between Trump and Elon. We will take notes of it and add commentary. Brief commentary, so we can listen closely. But the event has not begun yet. How can I get your dividend stocks? What do you mean get my dividend stocks? You can buy whatever stock you want that's fit for you, that's suitable for you, that pays dividends. You know, I usually am not a big fan of dividend stocks, by the way. This is not personalized advice or a recommendation for you. The reason I say that is, personally, I'm in a stupid high tax bracket in California, and I don't like paying extra taxes. I'd rather hold a stock, not pay taxes on the dividend, and then if I want to sell the stock, I can sell the stock and pay taxes when I choose, not when a company forces a dividend down my throat. But I do know a lot of people like dividends. Kevin, are you hiring? Not really right now. We're in a pretty good place right now. Appreciate that, though. We do sometimes post on Instagram that we need help in a local area, and so we'll hire people for like $30 an hour to help us do something in a local area. That's Meet Kevin on Instagram. You can follow my stories there if you want. We do that occasionally. Elon traded me and said he would trim my armor. Yes, armor trimming. Somebody here says, California is terrible. Not sure why you would live there. Yeah, it's terrible. You should definitely stay away. It's horrible. Don't come here. Is it a good time to buy silver? Where to buy? Still waiting for the event to begin. You know, there are some people who think it's a good time to buy silver as sort of a recessionary hedge. Other people think buy gold. You know, it's sort of a personal thing you'd have to evaluate. I personally like finding an ETF that you think fits for ownership of precious metals. It does mean you're still in the financial system, but it makes it a lot easier. You don't have to actually store the metal. You don't have to pay the extra fees to transit the metal. It's a lot more liquid. Still waiting. We are now 18 minutes in and the event has not yet begun. I'm listening to the hold music. We are still waiting for the event. It's not even really good music. Now, if it was good music, maybe this would be a little easier. It's best restaurant in Ventura? It's a secret. It rhymes with Chmentiki. I'm gonna Giga Chad study this. This is gonna be a really good interview. The whole thing here. 79 euro cents. Thank you. Blue Steel donates $4.99 to say taxation is theft. Sparrow, $2. World War III will start in the Euphrates River. Do you watch any sports? You know, I just saw a lot of sports at the Olympics. Not very happy about some of the males and female sports. Wow, my funded futures donates $99 next to JW at $199. Thank you so much, my funded futures. We're just waiting for this event to begin. We've got our bingo card up. We're ready to do Elon Musk Trump bingo. We're pretty excited here. We're just waiting. And we're just not getting it yet. Waiting for this event to start. Yep, still sitting on the sort of a music page, if you will. We're gonna take a, even the feed. Okay, there appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X, working on shutting it down. Worst case, we will proceed with a smaller number of live listeners and post the conversation later. No. You should literally just, worst case, come on StreamYard on YouTube. Easy. Simple. Yeah, so who knows? Maybe Iran is trying to DDoS X, but that's That's what Elon is just now tweeting here. So waiting to see what comes of this. We have plenty of capacity for Trump and Elon to come on YouTube. It would work just fine. Let's see here. Instantly. Okay, it's just waiting. Yeah, you know, they would be able to get this going instantly if they joined here, basically, and they would essentially instantly be able to go live and start their discussion. Because, you know, right now you could probably imagine that Elon Musk is very frustrated. You could probably imagine that not only is Elon Musk very frustrated, but Donald Trump is probably going to get impatient at technical difficulties. Of course, it's a branding opportunity too. Like, hey, you know, we have an opportunity here. Look, so many people wanted to get in, but DDoS is the world trying to get in. Yeah, everybody wants to listen to it, exactly. Or, you know, who knows? Maybe there's an Iran DDoS as well, but it would be very, very easy to solve if they, frankly, just streamed at a different platform. Oh well. So we'll wait. It's been about, honestly, it's been somewhere around 30 minutes of them trying to get this going right now, and you know, they could even theoretically use something like a Discord platform, or plenty of platforms that could be used. Hold on one sec. Okay. Listening now, still to that hold music, as Elon has suggested a DDoS potential attack. That's a denial of service attack on X. Could essentially be, you know, Iran is really well known for attempted cyber attacks, and yeah, wouldn't be a surprise to see that in addition to actual users wanting to join. Notice how yesterday Elon was able to have 500,000 users watch his video game live stream and no issues. Today, he tries to interview Donald Trump, and, you know, we're waiting for 30 minutes. It's not working. Some folks are saying it's either Russia or China or Iran. We'll see. Waiting, 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 waiting. Let's see, let's see. Still listening in here. Yeah, no, I have the discussion up on 2 computers here, waiting to see if it'll begin, but the whole point, well, I mean, we could restream it on X, as we are. I'm also streaming on X right now, mind you, and you know, it's working fine, like 18,000 people or whatever. So on X, so we're just now waiting for this conversation to begin. I don't know if it's actually gonna start here. Again, Elon Musk's last tweet is there appears to be a massive DDoS attack on X, working on shutting it down, waiting for updates. Elon just tweeted, we tested the system with 8 million concurrent listeners live earlier today. Come on. Still waiting for that holding music there. Yeah, again, Elon suggesting they tested this with 8 million concurrent listeners earlier today. And apparently the test was not enough to get this going. So still waiting for this. Let's see if we can get... Let's see if there have been any Donald Trump tweets or truths. We'll take a peek here. Again, Elon Musk here suggesting there was a denial of service attack. Still got the hold music going. We've got Donald Trump has not said anything on X, and he did tweet truth an hour ago. Get ready for a chat with Elon. Big audience. Go enjoy. Waiting. Let's see. Alright. Trump's late because he's stuck on Epstein's jet. Oh, no. No. Hey, somebody's got to fly that plane. Nah. Trump's got his own. Trump's got a 1991 Boeing. You can buy them right now for like $6 to $10 million bucks. But, you know, the upgrades probably cost like 90 million. Still waiting. It has now been roughly 30 minutes for that the event is now behind. Waiting for the actual stream to begin. Let's see here. What else is being said out there? No, nothing else yet. Again, Elon Musk reiterating that there was some form of DDoS attack. Tested it earlier with 8 million subscribers or concurrent watchers, rather, or listeners, and now not functioning. Okay, we'll keep waiting here. In the meantime, we've got Bitcoin at 59,539. Watching this. Also keeping an eye on what's going on with futures and news with Iran and Israel. Futures roughly flat. You got a couple of them 20 basis points up. Dow and NASDAQ up. I'm sorry, not 20 basis points, 2 basis points. S&P's up 1. Veritas says, shout out to Kevin for being a savage. Ooh, thank you. We've got another donation here from Vince Kuhn. $100. Thank you so much. Thank you for doing this for all the people. Hey, well, hopefully we can get it going here. We still got the hold music. You know, I'm excited. I stopped playing Nerf guns. I mean, I stopped working to be here. And I'm sure they'll get it figured out here soon. Okay. Waiting. Love you. I've been watching it since 2018. Your knowledge has been extremely valuable. So excited for this one. Much love from one dad to another. Oh, thank you, JW. That's amazing. Waiting. A lot of annoying holding music, eh? All right, somebody says it's Kamala's team trying to interrupt the truth. Okay. Waiting. Okay. Still waiting for Elon. Okay. Oh, still in it. Ay, ay, ay. Come on, Elon. We need to hear this interview. We've been waiting for about 35 minutes now. Still nothing here from this supposed, discussion. Still also just looking for updates as well. We've got our bingo card ready to go. No, still hold music. $500,000 listeners right now. It's crazy. Okay, no interview yet. It looks like they might be getting closer to a solution here. It's not clear though. A lot of people still very frustrated, understandably so. You've got, 500,000 people who've been sitting around, frankly, wasting their time. Well, I feel bad for this too. I mean, like, I'd rather be playing Nerf guns with my kids than this. I'm sure you'd rather be doing anything but this as well, having dinner with family or whatever. I mean, maybe you still can as you're just on your phone or however, but I guess that's the nice thing about having it portable, but well, still waiting. Oh well. Well, the good news is no attack from Iran just yet, even though that seems to be imminent per Israel and the United States, with a speed up of the U.S. carrier Lincoln Strike Group. We've also, there was also an earthquake today over in the neck of the woods. I think it was Beirut, felt like a 5 earthquake, which is crazy, frankly. Absolutely crazy. $738,000 people in the space waiting for it to begin, and nobody can hear anything. Still waiting. Okay. Still waiting. No, Tesla US was a scam that was streaming. Go check out Light the Moon for okay. Well, it's not me who gets to choose this. Should I pick Elon Trump crypto coin? What? I don't even know what that is, what you're talking about. Seriously, where's the link to watch the interview? Well, it's broken right now. Shout out to House Hack and those courses of building your wealth. Oh, thank you, Tesla. We'll appreciate it. InfoWars is just as live as everyone else. Oh, yeah, no, everybody's having the same problem. Nope. Still the same problem. Killing me, Smalls. You're killing me, Smalls. It looks like they resolved the DDoS, they're saying. Oh, yeah? Alright. Well, they haven't started talking yet. Okay. Let's try again. No. Elon's not even in the one that Trump is in. All right. Everyone's kind of waiting. It looks like Elon just left. Oh. Oh, that's Trump. Is it? Yeah, that sounds like it's Trump. Yeah, Trump just muted his mic. Okay. The hold music has stopped. We're getting close. We are getting closer. About 850,000 in that space right now. I just heard Trump for a moment there. Yeah, his mic started talking, and you could hear some noise. But Elon actually left that, and it looks like he's going to come back. Maybe. Waiting to find out. Looking for any kind of guidance on what's going on here. It does look like they tried delaying the start to 8:30. It's now 8:36. Remember Trump complaining about the interview being late like 2 weeks ago? Yeah, that was with the black journalist group. Yep. I saw that. Yep. Yeah, Elon is not in a space at the moment. And Donnie T is alone in the space with just basically 1 million people. 884,000 people trying to listen. And no current audio or status on where Elon is at the moment. So everyone's just standing by. Standing by, waiting. Somebody says Elon's making babies. Oh, more babies. Jeez. $2 super sticker. Thank you so much. Yeah, seriously, shout out again to those of you, especially, I mean, gosh, these amounts. I mean, look at this, $100, $99, add another one. Jeez, y'all are amazing. We really appreciate ya. Goal is to be here every day. Try to help. Everyone's still waiting, though, right now for this conversation to actually begin. I know it's a little frustrating. I'd love for it to begin, too. We're in the event. It's just Trump in there right now on mute. And Elon is not in the event at the moment. It looks like when he left, a lot of other people were actually able to join. So maybe that was maybe that was an issue. So we shall see. We shall see. Waiting. Yeah, now you're at 918,000 in one space, which is kind of insane, honestly. Crazy. Oh, Elon just popped back in. Here we go. Okay, let's see if it works. Here we go. Now all they have to do is unmute. The music has stopped. Elon and Trump are in the space. They may have resolved the DDoS issue. Maybe. They may have figured it out. Come on, baby. I've got volume on both of them. I got 2 computers in that space. One that joined within 30 seconds and another one that joined, 10 minutes later. Just have a backup. So, let's see what happens here. Just unmute and start talking. Come on, Elon. You know how to do this. Just unmute. Am I allowed to super chat a political question and see the response from likes? I think, I don't know. Can people reply? Maybe. So, unmute and start talking. Exactly. No, they're still muted right now. Both their volumes are on. Elon did just join again. Ryan Chips, thank you. Appreciate the donation. So, excited to be here with y'all. Sorry for the technical issues on behalf of X and Elon and Trump. I know nobody wants to deal with this crap. They've got almost 1 million folks in there right now, and I suspect we're getting closer to resolving the issue. Got a lot of great topics that we're looking forward to hearing about. Nuclear energy, the border, walls in the trans community, wokeism we expect to come up, governance, children, family, Trump getting shot, fiscal spending unsustainability, censorship, China and tariffs, crypto discussion, Israel and impending Iranian attack, which could happen very, very soon. We're on standby for that now, unfortunately. This is based on the latest from what we're hearing from American intelligence and Israeli intelligence. It's very unfortunate. We hope to hear information on maybe the Cybertruck, drugs, homelessness, discussions on rockets and SpaceX, the Fed, Russia, Ukraine, an EV discussion, copy Kamala discussion, Taiwan discussion, with national defense, AI, World War III, fair elections, woke mind virus. These are all topics we're hoping to hear about. I do see both Elon and Trump in this space, though it doesn't look like they have begun talking, and the hold music is now gone. I did hear Trump there for a brief moment as he unmuted his mic. Potato here says, should children be taught about LGBT and trans rights in elementary schools? Post your thoughts. Probably wouldn't be surprised to get a unanimous reply on that one. But anyway, that's a comment someone left there. Let's keep going here. Let's see if there's anything else coming from Elon Musk's account. So far, no, and it doesn't look like he is in this. He did reply to a comment where somebody wrote, "It's Dems fighting to save democracy from two massive disruptors," and he replied, "Yeah." Still waiting for it to begin. We've almost been streaming now for about an. Oh.
All right, hello everyone. My apologies for the late start. We unfortunately had a massive distributed denial of service attack against our servers, and saturated all of our data lines. Like basically hundreds of gigabits of data were saturated. We think we've overcome most of that, and so it's now time to proceed. But as this massive attack illustrates, there's a lot of opposition to people just hearing what President Trump has to say, and
Yeah.
I'm honored to have this conversation. I want to emphasize it's a conversation, and it's really intended to just get a feel for what Donald Trump is just like in a conversation. It's hard to catch a vibe about someone if you just don't hear them talk in a normal way. And when there's an adversarial interview, like no one's themselves in an adversarial interview.
Fair.
So and this is really aimed at kind of open-minded, independent voters who just trying to make up their mind, and so you can understand like what is what is it just like to have a conversation. So honored to Donald, great to speak. We had a great conversation yesterday. As you mentioned yesterday, if we could just record that conversation and post it, it would have been excellent. And I hope we can have something like that today.
Well, I think we will. I'm pretty sure we will. And congratulations, because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people. And it's an honor. We view that as an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that have something to say that are constructive, oftentimes constructive. And
Yeah.
so we have to consider it an honor. But congratulations on breaking every record in the book tonight. That's great.
Well, thank you. Well, I mean, maybe we could start off with, the assassination attempt, which was an incredible thing. And I have to say that, your actions after that assassination attempt were inspiring. You, instead of shying away from things, instead of ducking down, you were pumping your fist in the air and saying, fight, fight, fight. And I think that's, the president of the United States represents America, and I think that is America. That is strength under fire, and so that's a big part of the reason why I was excited to endorse you as the president of the United States for having another term here. Is that was just incredibly inspiring. But I mean, what was it like for you?
Not pleasant, I have to
Not
be honest.
pleasant.
I
Yeah.
said there was
I
blood. I
mean,
had
being
more
shot is
blood.
not much fun.
I didn't know I had that much blood. the doctors later told me that the ear is a place that is a very bloody place if you're going to get hit. But in this case, it was probably the best alternative you could even think about because it went at the right angle, and it was a hard hit. It was very, I guess you would say surreal, but it wasn't surreal. You know, I was telling somebody you have instances like this, or like a lot less than this, where you feel it's a surreal situation, and I never felt that way. I knew immediately that it was a bullet. I knew
Ugh,
immediately that it was at the ear,
Yeah.
and because it hit very hard, but hit the ear. And I also heard people shout, "Bullets, bullets!"
terrible.
Get down, because I moved down pretty nicely, pretty quickly, and we had bullets flying right over my head after I went down. So I'm glad I went down. The bigger miracle was that I was looking in the exact direction of the shooter, and so it hit me at an angle that was far less destructive than any other angle. So that was the miracle. That was
Yeah.
for those
Split
people that
second.
don't believe in God. I think we got to all start thinking about that. You have to, I'm a believer now. I'm more of a believer, I think, and a lot of people have said that to me. A lot of great people have said that to me, actually. But it was amazing that I happened to be turned just at that perfect
Yeah.
angle, and all because I put down a chart on immigration that showed that the numbers were so great. I love that chart
I
even
mean,
more
maybe it's
now
a
than I
sign.
ever.
Maybe
Yeah,
that's a sign, you know.
it's an immigration sign.
You
But
highlighted a serious issue, and
yeah,
at that moment,
that's right.
the bullet missed your, hit your ear, but missed your head. I mean,
Well, the
yeah,
amazing thing is that the sign, I said, bring down that sign on immigration, and it was literally about an eighth of a second where it would be good, and after that it was going to
yeah,
be a disaster, no matter which way you were facing. But it just had that perfect angle, which was
yeah,
exactly at this shooter. Very sad situation. Such a sad situation. As you know, we lost somebody that was great, Corey,
yeah,
who, a firefighter, a great gentleman, a great trumper. He was just a
Terrible.
fantastic family and a fantastic man. And a friend of mine came up.
Elon donated $100,000 to the victims of that shooting, including Corey and other folks. I think that GoFundMe has like 6 million
Said, I don't
or
mind at
more
all.
now.
And he wrote out a check for $1 million, gave it to the wife. And, you know, she said, this is really nice, but I'd rather have my husband back, which is a nice thing for
sure,
somebody to say, to be honest. She's great. The family is great. And we raised a lot of
yeah,
money for them and for two other gentlemen are unbelievable people also. They were hit really badly. They thought they were not going to make it, and they did. The doctors in the Butler area, I tell you, they were incredible. They saved the two, and they were really hit tough, both of them
yeah,
equally. And we thought
yeah,
my first question was because I heard bullets flying over me, and I said, "How many people were killed?" Because we had a massive crowd there, a tremendous
yeah,
thousands and thousands of people, and there was no land. I mean, it was all people. So I said, "How many people have been killed?" Because I knew there were other shots being fired,
sure,
and they said, "We don't know yet, but some people have been badly hurt." And I have to give the Secret Service sniper, they call him, or sharpshooter, but sniper,
yeah,
because he didn't know there was a problem. He's an extraordinary shot, obviously, and he didn't know there was a problem. And he was
yeah,
able to pick it all out within 5 seconds. And he used one bullet from very far away, I guess probably about 400 yards. The shooter was 130, but
yeah,
he was on the opposite side of the field and the podium, and he saw the smoke and the flame from the gun, immediately recognized it, and immediately took a shot. And it was one perfect shot from very far away. And if he didn't do
yeah,
that, Elon, he would have. I mean, if he would have, a lot of people, a lot more people could have been
sure,
badly hurt and killed. So
yeah,
I have to
absolutely,
take my hat off to him because that's also a surreal. You know, he's been with them for 23 years, and
yeah,
he's never had anything like this. And all of a sudden, he has to act, and it's a very tough thing to
sure,
act and to be shooting somebody. But he saw the gun, saw the smoke, saw the flame from the gun, very far away. I obviously has very good eyes. He's got very good vision, which I assume you have
yeah,
to have in that particular work, but he took
Absolutely.
aim very quickly, and it was, they say it was approximately 5 seconds from long range,
Yeah.
one bullet. If that didn't happen,
Yeah.
because the shooter had a lot of bullets, he had a lot of cartridges up
Sure.
there with him, so could have
Well,
been very.
I mean that's clearly he was very confident in taking that shot to stop the attempted assassination. But I mean, there does seem to be, I mean, some pretty significant failings elsewhere in the system. Like, there's just no way that, like, how on earth does a shooter get on a roof 130 yards away?
Yeah, I mean,
That
these are the
seems,
real questions, right? The true failure of the Secret Service here. Kind of
what
sad.
people are wondering how on earth could.
But this is also new information, this idea that the counter sniper was 400 yards away, not the ones we see pictured behind Trump, but a further away one. Very
There
interesting.
were people that were seeing him, and there was one woman with a red shirt and
Right.
Trump all over
I
it,
saw the video.
and she's screaming, "That guy's got a gun!" You know, you saw it probably. There's
Yeah.
a
No, I
guy
saw
up
the
there with
videos.
a
I
gun.
mean, it's like I guess, I mean, for my part, and I think probably many members of the public are wondering how the heck are, you know, basically people wondering by pointing out there's a guy on the roof with a gun,
Yeah,
and they're seeing it, but somehow it's not being addressed. That does seem
yeah.
crazy.
Well, they're going to learn from this. The communication between the local police, who sort of had an idea, and then ultimately a man lifted himself up to the roof, could barely do it because he was pulling himself up, and
Yeah,
he saw the man with the gun. The man with the gun pointed the gun at him. He thought he was probably going to get shot, but he was like pulling himself up, and because of that, he couldn't get to his gun, and he fell down. Actually, very badly hurt his leg, his ankle. I hear very badly, but
okay,
he fell down, and he did. From what I understand, he did say there's a guy up there with a gun, and the shooting started very quickly after that. I think it forced the shooter to go maybe quicker. He was supposed to be a very good shot.
yeah,
My sons, Don and Eric, they can't believe what happened, but they said from 130 yards, a bad shot would hit that target almost every time. They said it's like in golf,
yeah,
sinking a 2-foot putt.
yeah. It's not a tough
No,
shot.
it's not a long shot. The Secret Service person had the long shot. He had triple the
Yeah,
distance actually. So
It's new
it
info.
was a terrible thing. Look, it's hard. I have to say this about the Secret Service. When I went down, and I went down based on, I think, they're screaming, but other people also, because people saw this happen. You had so many people. One of the miracles was that nobody ran. I mean, if a gun goes off, the crowd
yeah,
control people showed us this. When guns go off, and it does happen in stadiums at a soccer match or some kind of a match, everybody flees. They call it a stampede, like cattle. But everybody, and a lot of
yeah.
people get killed with those stampedes. We had
Sure.
more people than you'd have at some of these matches, or these games, and nobody left. You had a small group behind us in the grandstand, and that was full. And you look at it as it was taking place, and normally they'd be running. They didn't leave. They saw that I was hurt. They saw a lot of blood, and they saw that I went down. And it's almost like they wanted to be with me. Well, out front, you had thousands, tens of thousands of people. As far as the eye could see, you had people in Butler, as far as the eye could see, and uh,
Yeah,
and a lot of press too. There were many cameras on watching this. It's what makes it so different, because normally things happen that aren't good, but you never have a picture of it. Here we have all these cameras shooting it, so
yeah,
sort of amazing. But one of the interesting things was that you didn't have anybody flee. You didn't have anybody stampede.
sure.
Nobody. And there were some people behind me. They stood up and they're looking like, I mean, I'll tell you,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to have them in a foxhole with you.
We got to get to policy, man. Come on.
It's so different from what you heard. But so so I was down. But the Secret Service
Yeah,
guys, there were bullets flying right over my head. You could hear them go whizzing,
yeah,
and these guys came jumping on top of me, and a young lady, Kate, uh, would jump. They moved so fast, and let me tell you, that took tremendous courage. Now, there was a lack of coordination. There was, obviously everybody understands that somebody, that building should have been covered. And
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
that was
I
the
think
big
that like,
thing.
I mean, looking at the aerial views, that building would be like the number one spot for a sniper. I mean, it's like the if you were to pick like what is the favorite place, what if you so if the goal is to assassinate, what's your favorite spot? That building, the
You're
roof of that
right.
building would be number one.
That would have been the spot.
It's like you can ask for a better
No,
location. It's like number
no, that
one.
would have been the spot.
Um,
You know what people think
yeah,
is when the local policeman, who, by the way, he really he did what he was supposed to do. He couldn't hold on any longer. And then when he got
yeah,
his head just peeking above, this guy standing there with a gun at his head. And when he fell down, again, hurt his ankle very badly, but he was making the calls. But what happened is the firing took place very soon. So what they
yeah,
think is that this guy ran to his site, which he had all planned out with the gun. He ran to the site and he started shooting fast. And maybe that's why he sort of missed. I mean, he uh,
yeah. But
he
as you
got
said,
me, but
he
it
would have
could have
hit.
been
I mean,
could have been a much
yeah.
bigger problem.
But he totally would have hit if you hadn't turned your head. So like there was it was a very near
It
thing.
was a
So
miracle. If I hadn't
um,
turned my head,
yeah,
I would not be talking to you right now. As much as I like you,
exactly.
I would not.
Yeah,
I would
well,
not be talking to you.
maybe talking to me from another realm, perhaps.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. We'd be talking from a
so
different place. But it was a very terrible experience. The Butler Hospital, they did such a great job. The doctors were so good. Everybody was so good. There was a mistake. If somebody knew, because people were hearing that, there was just a bad feeling that there was somebody was around. You know that story now. It's been pretty
yeah,
well.
yeah,
And
yeah,
if somebody could have said, because they've oftentimes said, like there'd be a lightning storm or something. Because I've done, I think, over 300. I think I did a lot more than that, but we did a lot. And oftentimes they'll say, "Sir, could you wait 10 minutes, please? Sir, could you wait 20 minutes? There's a storm overhead or lightning or something," right? And
yeah,
that happens
yeah,
often. And this would have been a perfect time for that to have happened, but it
yeah.
didn't. It didn't get coordinated. That was the problem.
Well, it was your I think your actions in the heat of fire, and like what I find admirable there was that you can't fake bravery under such circumstances. The courage is instinctual or it is not. It's not a rehearsed action. And so I just want to say that I think a lot of people admire your courage under fire there. And
Well,
yeah, so
thank you very
yeah,
much. I appreciate it. I didn't think of it. I just wanted to get up and I wanted to stand up. I wanted to let people know, I felt I was good when they were on top of me, covering me, actually, very much covering me and very bravely. But I wanted to get up. I said, I want to get up. And
And I want my
they
shoes.
wanted, they have everything there. They wanted stretcher. I didn't like the stretcher. And I knew I was hit in the ear, but I knew I wasn't hit anywhere else. They felt I was hit someplace else
yeah,
because it was such a lot of blood, and they were sure that I was hit someplace else. And they were saying, "Sir, you were hit in more than the ear." I said, "Nope, I was hit in the ear. I want to get up. Let me get up." And so I got up, and the crowd didn't know what to think. I mean, this was so many people, and you could see they were confused. They didn't know what to think, and I wanted to let them know I was okay. It was very important for me to let them
yeah,
know that, and they went wild. You've seen the after. They didn't go wild when I
yeah,
got up because they didn't know, was I alive. You really couldn't tell when I stood up before the hand, before the fist in the air. Uh, they didn't know if I was alive. Nobody did. And when I put the fist up, they were just relieved and happy and thrilled, and the place went crazy. It was pretty amazing.
yeah.
It was a
Well,
terrible thing, but it
it
was
was
really amazing.
incredibly moving. Yeah. Well, and I mean, speaking of the sort of slide that got you to turn, that saved your life really was the illegal immigration
Right.
slide. Maybe this,
That's right.
maybe this is worth talking about that,
It
since
was. It was.
that slide
You're
saved your
right.
life
No,
basically.
the illegal immigration saved my life. You're right, but it was. And I
I
had to
know
be at
that's
that
the.
exact angle.
I mean, that's a great one. Saved by illegal
You know,
immigration.
the incredible
100%.
thing though, when you talk about the odds, you had to be exactly at that angle. But the incredible
Yeah,
thing is that the chart, I used it less than 20% of the time. It was just a moment.
yeah,
It's always on my left, never my right, and it's always at the end of the speech. So here
yeah.
we have it. It's on the right, not the left. It's at the beginning, not the end. And even the people that put it up, they were unprepared, and they did a great job. They got it up immediately, fortunately. But I looked to the right, and the bullet came whizzing by, hitting my ear. So it was amazing. But when you think of the odds of that, and
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know that normally you wouldn't use it. Normally I wouldn't have the thing, and then it would
yeah.
have been a very different story. It's very much. I say an act of God. It's a miracle that it happened, and I'm
Sure.
honored by it. I'm honored by it.
Well, what were you about to say about illegal immigration before you were rudely
Here
interrupted?
we go.
Well,
Finally, Elon brings it back.
by the way, we're going back to Butler, and we're going to go back
Trump
in
brings it right
October.
back to
We're
Butler.
all set up, and the people are fantastic in Butler. It's a great area. Great. These are incredible people. Like the three that, in the case of Corey, killed, and the other two, the families are. I got to know them a little bit, and the families are great. But we're going back to Butler, and
Really quick, look on screen here at the chat summary YouTube put up for this thing, which is crazy that they would say this.
prior to being so horribly
So,
interrupted.
yeah,
But
yeah. So rudely interrupted by an
yeah,
assassination
so it was.
attempt.
But no, but the chart.
Some people have.
I'm not seeing that in the comments, by the way. I don't know why YouTube would put up that kind of commentary. That was weird.
Illegal immigration numbers, meaning stopping. It was at the lowest. You've seen the chart. It's become quite a famous
Yeah,
chart,
yeah,
but that was the lowest
yeah.
point ever recorded. It was a really, I mean, I was very proud of those numbers. And then you see what happened with these people, Kamala and Joe. You see what happened. They just let it go. I had remain in Mexico policies. I had all these different policies that was so good. Uh, Guys like Tom Holman and Brandon Judd from Border Patrol. All these are all people that they've been on television. They says the best numbers we've ever had. We had so many different checks, catch and release in Mexico, not the United. We had catch and release in the United States. We had it in Mexico. We had so many things. We had things where if people, many people come in there, they have contagious diseases. We had everything passed. If you have a contagious disease, I'm sorry, but we cannot allow you into the country. So we were setting
Yeah,
literally records, and I all I was doing is showing that, and I use it sometimes,
sure.
and in this case, I'm glad I used it. I can tell you that, but they were fantastic numbers. But I'm going to sleep with that chart always. I'll be sleeping with that chart. That chart was very important for a lot of reasons.
Well, I mean, would it be accurate to say that you're supportive of legal immigration, but we also need to shut down illegal immigration, and especially unvetted illegal
Yes,
immigration, because and that's not the same as saying that everyone who's an illegal immigrant is bad. In fact, I think most people who are illegal immigrants are actually good, but you can't tell the difference unless there's a solid vetting of who comes across the border. Does that
hundred
accurately
percent.
represent your position?
I say it
Okay.
very simply. They have to come in legally. They have to be checked
Yeah.
because look, Kamala was the border czar. Now she's denying it. Everything that I do, she's
Yeah.
saying she was strong on the border. We're going to be strong. Well, she doesn't have to say it. She could close it up right now. They could do things right now. It's horrible. Uh, no tax on tips, and all of a sudden she's making a speech and there will be no tax on tips. I said that months ago. And by the way, they had just the opposite. They had not only tax on tips, but they hired 88,000 IRS agents, and many of them were assigned to go get waitresses and caddies and all of this on tips. They have a policy. They had a policy that they were really going to go after you. And were really harassing people horribly. And then all of a sudden, for politics, she says, she comes out with what I said, which I think is terrible. And I think it's also hitting them very hard. These people are fake. Now they're also saying they did a good job on the border. We had the worst numbers in the history of the world, not of our country. There's never been a country in history that has had a catastrophe like this. We've had, I believe, and I think you believe this too, you hear 12
Yeah.
million, 13. I believe it's over 20 million people came into our country,
Yeah.
many coming from jails, from prisons, from mental institutions, or a bigger version of that is
Yeah.
insane asylums, and many are terrorists. And I'll tell you what, they're coming not just from South America, they're coming from Africa, they're coming from all over the world. They're coming from Asia, they're
Yeah.
coming from the Middle East, they're coming from countries that are uh, stupidly and horribly bombing Israel October 7th. They're coming from all over the world. And you look at, it's so sad October 7th because it should have never happened.
Yeah.
It's so sad when
Sure.
you look at Ukraine. It should have never happened. We have a defective
Yeah.
government. These are defective people, and they're not people that should be running it. But where you see it the best is the border, because you have millions of people coming in a month, and then she gets up and she tries to pretend like she's going to do something. She had 3.5 years.
Super quick reminder, Treasury Secretary Yellen did suggest that she signed a directive that those new IRS agents only target those making over 400K. So that'd be an interesting fact check on Trump regarding, workers being targeted.
And that's saying something because he's not too good.
Yeah. No, I think it is essential to have a secure border. I mean, you're really not a country unless you have a
Correct.
secure border. And
And
uh,
secure elections,
you
too.
know, yeah, absolutely secure elections. And so it's just essential to have a real border, or we can't function as a country, and our service, our central services are being overwhelmed in a lot of cities. As we were talking about earlier, I think having a legal immigration process that is smooth and efficient and done well, and speaking as someone who is a legal immigrant, and I think I mean, like one way to think of it is, who do you want on your team? Who do you want on Team America? And I think we want to just say, okay, we want to let in people who are gonna, be great contributors to our society and to our economy,
Right.
and and who do you want on the team? And it's not to say that, like in my opinion, actually, I'd say like probably most of the illegal immigrants actually are actually good, hardworking people. That's my opinion. But some are not, and you just have this sort of adverse selection process where, if somebody's if somebody's like you know um, uh, has a career in theft or robbery, I don't understand what's taken them so long to get here, because we're such a target-rich environment. Um, I mean, why aren't more people who have a career in, bad things coming here sooner? Because it's a piece of cake to go rob, houses in LA or New York, compared to other parts of the world. And in a lot of places in America, if you try to stop the person who's robbing you, you'll be arrested.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's insane.
It's right. I mean, what's happening with crime, and our police are so good, but they're not allowed to do their job. But I have to tell you, Elon, I
They're
hate
not.
to say, because it's such a downer to say it. I hate to say it. I hate it. But you have a lot of people that just shouldn't be. I think it's a much bigger number than you think. They're
I
allowing,
think you're
again,
right.
they're
Yeah.
allowing people from their jails. And if you were running one of these countries where they're coming from, you would have had all of them. As an example, Venezuela, their crime is down 72%. They're taking their drug dealers, they're taking, frankly, their prisoners, they're emptying out their prisons. They're taking their criminals, their murderers, their rapists, and they're
Yeah.
delivering them into
But
the.
that's what Castro did
Yeah,
that.
well, he did on a much smaller scale.
Yeah.
It was a much smaller
Yeah.
scale. But this is a massive scale because this is being done worldwide. But here's what's happening: crime all over the world is down. And wait till you see the numbers that we have. This is migrant crime. This is crime that's going to be.
Yeah.
And I saw it today in New York where somebody was knifed with raped the girlfriend of a man that stood there watching in New York in one of the shelters and started
Sure.
pulling out the knives, and bad things happened today. But this is happening every day. These are rough people. These are people that are in jail for
Yeah.
murder and all sorts of things, and they're releasing them into our country, and they're telling them, if you come back, we're going to kill you. We're going to give you the death penalty or kill you. So they don't want to come back. But these are rough people.
Yeah.
These are criminals that make our criminals look like nice people, and it's horrible what they're doing. And she's in charge of it because now she's trying to say she
Sure.
had nothing to do with it, and she's such a liar because she was called the border czar the first day, and it was on the headlines of every newspaper. She's the border czar, and she never even went there. She went to one location which had nothing to do with where the problem is. She went in and out, I
Right.
guess, because she was getting a lot of pressure,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
had nothing to do where the problem
Yeah.
is. But she was
Well.
the
Well.
border czar, and the people
Yeah. Yeah.
can't allow them to get away with their disinformation campaign. Now she's trying to say that she wasn't. She wasn't really involved, and the whole thing is horrible. She was totally in charge. She could have shut the border down without him. He didn't know what he was doing anyway, so he wouldn't have even known
Yeah.
what happened. You could shut the border down; he wouldn't
Yeah.
even know the difference. But uh, the fact is that she was border czar. But if you don't have to call her
Yes.
that, the fact is you could just call her. She was in charge of the border, and the border was the worst
Right.
ever.
It's simply not working.
No,
It's
it's
I mean
horrible.
whether it's a question of intention or competence, either way, we don't have a secure border, and we have people streaming over like it looks like a World War Z zombie apocalypse at times. And sometimes you got to sort of wonder, like, is it real or not? So because you see things, you're like, is it real? So I went to the border at Eagle Pass, and I saw for myself in Texas, and I was like, okay, it's real. I'm like seeing this in real time. I actually posted the video like just live. I just flew there one day and just to see, hey, is this made up or real? And I'm just seeing people stream across the border, and I have to say, at least the people that I saw did not look friendly. So
These are
people
people.
can look at my video and say, hey,
Yeah.
does these people look friendly? I don't look super friendly. So,
These are people that
um,
Elon would not be the same man if he had to walk across the street and look these people in the eye. These are rough people. These are really rough people coming across. And I know rough people. And these are people that we don't want in our country. And the caravans are coming in and they're putting and who's doing this are the heads of the countries. And you would be doing
yeah,
it, and so would I. And everyone would say, oh, what a terrible thing to say. The fact is, it's brilliant for them because they're taking all of their bad people, really bad people. And I hate to say this, the reason the numbers are much bigger than you would think is they're also taking their non-productive people. Now, these aren't people that will kill you. We have enough of them, but these are people that are non-productive. They are just not productive. I mean, for whatever reason, they're not
yeah, yeah,
workers or they don't want to work or whatever. And these countries are getting rid of non-productive people in the caravans in many cases, and they're also getting rid of their murderers and their drug dealers and the people that are
yeah,
really brutal people. And they're coming into our country
yeah,
at levels that have never been seen before. And I saw an ad just before I got on the air. I'm walking over here, and I saw an ad by Kamala saying how she is going to provide border security. Where has she been for 3.5 years? For 3.5 years,
yeah. No, no.
we have 20 million people
This I
poured
think is.
in. It's a terrible
Yeah, I
thing.
think this, frankly, I think this is a fundamental existential issue for the United States. And if we have another 4 more years of open borders, and it's going to be even worse with another 4 more years, it's going to be even worse than it's been for the past, 3.5 years. I'm not sure we've got a country
You don't have
left
a country
at that
left.
point.
Elon, if they get in, you will have 50 to 60 million people from all over the world, not South America only. We think of South America, we think of Honduras and El Salvador, Guatemala, and Mexico, the four. But it's not that. It's everywhere. They're coming in from
Yeah,
everywhere. And I had to stay in
yeah, I think
Mexico.
this is a super important
Yeah.
point. Like people, it's like basically when I went down there, I was like, well, where are people from? It's like almost no one was from Mexico. To be
No,
clear,
Mexico
it's it's
less,
just it's just it's
less of
just the
the others.
border. It's just the border with Mexico. But the people coming in, it's Earth, the rest of Earth, and America is only about 4 or 5% of the population of Earth, it would only take a few percent of the rest of Earth to overwhelm everything in the
We're
U.S.
already
So
overwhelmed, Elon. We're overwhelmed. You had to see the news tonight about New York. New York, and I love that place, and what they're doing to it is horrible, what they're doing to it. And all the courts do is they
yeah,
try and focus on Trump. Okay, then let's focus on Trump, who did nothing wrong. I complain about a rigged election. Elon, what's happened is unbelievable. You have from Africa, from the Congo, they're coming from the Congo, and 22 people came in from the Congo recently, and they're murderers, and they're dropped. They drop them. They take them out of jails, which is very expensive, to maintain the jails. Although they don't do too much maintaining, I can tell you. But they take them out of jails, prisons. They take them out, and they bring them to the United States. They deposit them in the United States and say, "Don't ever come back, or you're going to be executed." And they don't want to come back, but they won't come back.
sure.
But they're coming from Africa. They're coming from Asia. They're coming from the Middle East. They're coming from South
Well,
America.
just
They're
Earth,
coming from
rest of Earth,
everywhere.
basically.
And there are a lot of
Yeah,
really
everywhere on
bad
Earth.
ones.
It's just a it's just an everywhere on Earth thing, and it's just not possible for the United States to absorb everyone from Earth, or even a few percent of the rest of Earth. It's just not possible.
Well,
So
Elon, we're going to have
that's
just to
yeah,
finish this up. We're going to have the largest deportation in history of this country, and we have no choice. Otherwise, we're going to have a country. What they've done to our country. Think of it, with in Venezuela and in some of these other countries, crime is down 50, 60, 70, 80%. And you would be the same. You would have.
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
tell you what, Venezuela has not gotten rid of all of them. They've gotten rid of about 70% of their really bad people. Their jails are about 50% put into the United States. The same with other countries. Some
sure,
are at 30%, some are at 50%. They're all different. But the bottom line is they're all going to be at 100%. Why wouldn't you put 100% of it?
yeah,
And they're doing it right now while this third-rate phony candidate. Don't forget, I beat Biden. He failed in the debate miserably. And, some people said, oh, gee, it's too bad. It's too bad he did so badly, or I did well in the debate. The first night they said, wow. One of the people at CNN said that was the greatest debate performance I've ever witnessed. And then 2 days later, they didn't talk about that. They just said he was bad. But that's okay. That's the way I get treated, and I don't mind that at all. What I can tell you is this. We cannot have a Democrat. We cannot have her. She's incompetent. She's as bad as Biden in a
it's
different. Look,
yeah.
she hasn't done an
I mean,
interview since this
yeah,
whole scam started.
well,
And say what you want. This
yeah,
was a coup. This was a coup of a president of the United States. He didn't want to leave, and they said we can do it the nice
yeah.
way or we can do it the
No,
hard way.
yeah. Not, I mean, they just took him out back behind the shed and basically shot him.
What they did
Biden.
with this guy,
So
and I'm no
yeah.
fan of his, and he was a horrible president, the worst president in history. And one of the reasons he was so bad, first of all, the Israeli attack would have never happened. Russia would never have attacked Ukraine, and we'd have no inflation. And we wouldn't have had the Afghanistan mess, if you think of it.
Well,
And we wouldn't have had
yeah.
Afghanistan. But we think of it,
Well, yeah.
you take a few of those events away, and we have a different world. We would also have
No,
no
no, you're. Yeah.
inflation was caused by oil.
Yeah, no, no. I think you're making an excellent point here, which is that when other countries can, that are, are thinking about invading or doing bad things, when they're thinking about that, they're thinking about, okay, what's the American president going to do, and do they fear the American president, or is there someone they do not respect and do not fear? And I think they would they rightfully be. I mean, look at that the footage of the assassination. They're like, okay, uh, President Trump is like, don't mess with me. I mean, that's like, whereas I think people are not going to be, and they obviously have not been at all intimidated by Biden, and they certainly will not be intimidated by Kamala. And you have to really think of that in the context of global security. That if the American president is someone that, like, evil dictators are scared of, that makes a huge difference to the security of the world.
So I had a good relationship with Putin, despite the Russia hoax that lasted for over 2 years. Just a hoax created by Hillary Clinton and Adam Shifty Schiff, some just bad people, just sick people, frankly. I mean, Schiff is a sick person. He's going to end up probably being a senator. It's hard to believe. The whole thing is hard to believe. But, they put our country in danger with that stuff, too. They actually, when they make up stories, and you have to fight your way out of it for a long time. But I know Putin very well. I got along with him very well. He respected me, and it's just one of those things. And we would talk a lot about Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye. But I said, don't ever do it. Don't ever do it. I shut down Nord Stream too. That was the big oil pipeline, the biggest, I think, the biggest pipeline in the world going all over Europe. I shut it down. Biden came, and then they say,
Yeah.
I loved Russia. I was a friend of Putin, and I loved Russia. No, he actually said to me one time, he said, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as an enemy. I shut down his pipeline, the biggest pipeline. They were looking at that to
Yeah.
fund, and this pathetic president gets in there, and the first thing he did, one of the early things he did, is he shut down Keystone XL pipeline, which is our pipeline that would have
It's the
employed
extension.
48,000 people, pipeline workers, shuts it down. That was,
He did.
a massive job that
Day one.
Obama refused to allow.
Yeah.
I allowed it in my first week because it was jobs and it moved oil. And by the way, in a much more environmentally friendly way. It's underground. It's not a truck that catches on fire or a train that catches on fire. But think of it. He shut down the uh, XL pipeline, the Keystone XL pipeline. He
Yeah.
shuts that down and he approves the Russian pipeline,
Yeah, it doesn't make any
right?
sense. It's inconsistent. Certainly but I mean, I think it's just worth emphasizing to listeners that the immense importance of whether the United States president is intimidating or not intimidating, and how much that matters to global security, because there's some real tough characters out there, and if they don't think the American president is tough, they will do what they want to
I
do,
know every one of
and
them.
it puts the whole
Yeah.
world in danger.
Elon, I know every one
It's
of
a
them,
big
and I know
deal.
them well. I know
Yeah,
Putin. I know President Xi. I know Kim Jong Un of North Korea. I know every one of them. And let me tell you, people will say, "Oh, this is terrible." He said, "I'm not saying anything good or bad. They're at the top of their game. They're tough. They're smart. They're vicious."
Uh-oh.
And they're going to protect their country, whether they love their country. They probably do. It's just a different form of love, but they're going to protect their country. But these are
yeah,
tough people at the top of their game. And when they see a Kamala or when they see Biden, Sleepy Joe, they can't even
yeah,
believe it. They can't believe this happened. All the stuff that you're seeing now, all the horror that you look at Israel, they're all waiting for an attack from Iran. Iran would not be attacking, believe me. When I was there, and I say it with respect because I think we would have been good with Iran. I don't want to do anything bad to Iran, but they knew not to mess around. Iran was broke because I told China, if you buy from Iran oil, it's all about the oil. That's where the money is. But if you buy oil from Iran, you're not going to do any business with the United States. And I meant it. And they said, we'll
yeah,
pass.
yeah.
They didn't buy oil. Other countries, likewise.
Sure.
You want to buy, you're not doing business with the United States. And they were at a point where they had no money for Hamas. They had no money for Hezbollah. They had no money for any of these instruments of terror. And it was amazing. In fact, there were articles when I was leaving, which is hard to believe, actually, especially when you look at what's happened to our country. Our country is so bad right now. It's such a different place. We were respected. Think of it. 4 years ago, we were so respected to a point where when I said don't buy oil, they didn't buy oil, but they had no
Yeah,
money
yeah,
and Israel would have never been attacked. Zero chance. And again, I said to Vladimir Putin, I said, don't do it. You can't do it, Vladimir. You do it, it's going to be a bad day. You cannot do it. And I told him things that what I do. And he said, no way. And I said, way. And it's the last time we ever had the conversation. He would never have done. I got along well with him. I hope to get along well with him again. Getting along well with them is a good thing, not a bad thing. I got along well with Kim
yeah,
Jong Un when I met with President Obama just before entering. It's a sort of a ritual. And I sat down with him and we talked. It was supposed to be for a very short period of time. It turned out to be a long period of time. I said, "What's the biggest problem?" He said, "North Korea." I had that problem worked out very quickly. It was nasty at the beginning with Rocket Man and all the different things,
yeah,
but all of a sudden I
Those
got a
some those
call.
those some
Oh,
those were some epic tweets, by the way.
yeah, they
Those
were
were
no,
like
they were epic.
actually.
Everything he said that he has a red button on his desk. I said, I have a red button on my desk too, but my red button is much bigger, and my red button works. And then I called him Little
Yeah.
Rocket Man of Little Rocket Man. Anyway, here's the bottom line. All of a sudden, I got a call from him, and they said they want to meet. They want to meet me. And we met,
Yeah.
as you remember, we met in Singapore. We met also in Vietnam. And I got along with him great. We were
Yeah.
in no danger. But
Yeah. It's
President
because
Obama thought
they
we were going to
respond.
end up in a
Yeah.
war, a nuclear war with him. And let me tell you, he's
Yeah.
got a
It's not
lot of
true.
nuclear
Yeah,
stuff too. He's
exactly.
got plenty of nuclear.
It's
He can do plenty of damage.
it's
So,
yes. I mean, it's because I mean, people like Kim Jong Un. They respond to
yeah.
strength, not weakness.
Well,
And
he and I got it.
if you
He and I
project
had a good
strength, they
relationship.
you're good.
Remember, I
Yeah.
remember I met him and we walked onto his land. Nobody ever walked onto his land before. I walked onto. I wouldn't say.
Yeah.
Let's
That
bring
was
up
cool.
Secret Service again. I wouldn't say they were thrilled when I did that. I walked onto his land, and it was an amazing period. But we were not in danger with him because of me. I always
Yeah.
say that we have enemies on the outside and we have enemies on the inside. We have some really bad people in our government and people that are and controlling of the people. I mean, I'd mention names, but I really don't want to give them the credit. But we have some really bad, and I say they're more dangerous than Russia and China. If you have a smart president, a president that gets it, we are not in danger from those countries because they need us and they need our help. I mean, we forced Obama, if you think about it, Obama and Biden and Bush to a certain extent, in all fairness, forced Russia and China together. And if you're a history student, the first thing you learn is you cannot let Russia and China align. But then they also got, if you take a look, Iran, and they have North Korea. That's, they call it the axis of evil. In the old days, you had the axis of evil. Here we have a modern day axis of evil. These are powerful countries, very heavy nuclear, which is the biggest threat.
Yeah.
The biggest threat is not global warming, where the ocean's going to rise one eighth of an inch over the next 400 years. And you'll have more oceanfront property, right? The biggest threat is not that. The biggest threat is nuclear warming, because we have 5 countries
Well,
now that
yeah.
have significant nuclear power, and we have to not allow anything to happen with stupid people like Biden. Biden did something with Russia. There was no chance of him ever going in. And when I left, and then after I left, they started forming big armies on the border with Ukraine, right? And I looked at that, and I thought he was doing that because Putin's a good negotiator. I thought he was doing that to negotiate. But then Biden started saying such stupid things. For instance, he said that it can be a NATO country. Now, Russia, for as long as there's been NATO, has said we're never going to agree to that. And we go right up front and say that. And we did things and said things through this president with a low IQ, very low IQ. He had a low IQ 30 years ago, by the way, but now he might not even have a IQ at all. There's nothing on the board that goes this low. He said things that were so stupid that war had zero chance of happening if I were there. Zero chance. He was saying everything
Yeah.
the opposite. Everything the opposite. And it's so sad because many more people have been killed in Ukraine than you read about. You don't read about how bloody it is and how disaster. Hey,
Sure.
look, just in the 2 armies, you lost 500,000 people. And
Yeah.
Ukraine's
It's
having a hard time. Ukraine, I don't know if you saw
yeah.
the article recently, and it's true. You don't hear the true story, but if you think about it, Russia's gone. Russia defeated Germany with us, and they defeated Napoleon. They've been around a long time. They're a big fighting
Yeah.
force,
So of
and it's
course.
very unfair. And Ukraine now doesn't have enough men. They're now using young men and very old men to fight, and we're in a very bad position. And I'm not going to blame exclusively, but I can tell you I could have stopped that, and a smart president could have stopped that. It wouldn't have happened. But we had a
Yeah.
man that actually made it more prevalent. It was so bad, the words that he was using, the stupid threats coming from a stupid face that he was using. I said, this guy's going to cause us a war. He's going to cause us. And let me tell you,
Yeah,
it can
yeah,
lead to World War III. That can lead to World War III. The Middle East can lead to. We have numerous places that could end up in a
yeah.
World War III right now for no reason
No,
whatsoever.
I think you're right. I think people underrate the risk of World War III, and it's just when you're looking at the risk of global thermonuclear warfare, it's game over for humanity, and that's it's something that people have, I think, after the end of the Cold War, people have become complacent about, but they actually have forgotten that there are currently a lot of nuclear missiles that have targeting parameters for the United States from other
100%.
countries.
And one of the things
And
we're going to do is
it's
we're going to
yeah,
build an iron dome over us. Israel has it. We're going to have the best iron dome in the world. We need it, and we're going to make it all in the United States. But we're going to have protection because it just takes one maniac to start something. We're going to have protection, and we're going to have. Why shouldn't we have an iron dome? Israel has one. Some other places
yeah,
have one that nobody even knows about, frankly. But Israel has it. We're going to have an iron dome. But with all of that being said, to me that's so important, the most important. But with all of that being said, the election's coming up, and the people want to hear about the economy and the fact that they
absolutely
can't
sure.
Let's
buy
talk about that.
groceries
Quick note:
because
why don't we have an Iron Dome? Fortunately, because we don't have rockets coming over here all the time.
food prices are up 50, 60, even 100% in some cases. And this stupid administration allowed this to happen. And it's a shame. And that's the thing that people most care about, in my opinion. They care about the border a lot. And we discuss the border at great length. It's nice to have a
Yeah, yeah.
forum like this where I can discuss something at length. And by the way, you think Biden could do this interview? Do you think that Kamala could do this interview? They would take a pass on
No, they
you.
could not.
So they don't need Elon. They don't need Elon screaming out questions. It's pretty sad when you think that somebody that does this for a living can't answer a question or is afraid to do an interview. And in her case, with a very friendly interview, she's got all friendly interviewers. It's pretty sad.
Yes,
But the
absolutely.
big thing now is the
Well,
economy, Elon.
yeah,
And as much as
yeah,
I mean, I view nuclear as the single most important thing, but a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't understand that. But it doesn't have to. If I understand it, that's all you need. Because if I was president, you're not going to have that kind of a problem. But the thing that they really is making them angry is what Kamala and Biden have allowed to happen to the economy. It's a disaster with inflation. The inflation, it
yeah,
doesn't matter what you make. The inflation has eaten you alive. If you're a worker or if you're just a middle income person, you can't afford. 4 years ago, 5 years ago, people were saving a lot of money. Today, they're using
yeah.
all their money and borrowing money just to live. It's a horrible thing
Right.
that's happening, and we'll end that
Well, I think
quickly.
a lot of yeah, a lot of people just don't understand where inflation comes from. Inflation comes from government overspending because the checks never bounce when it's written by the government. So if the government spends far more than it brings in, that increases the money supply, and if the money supply increases faster than the rate of goods and services,
That's right.
that's inflation. Um, so really, we need to have we need to reduce our government spending, and we need to re-examine. I think we need like a government efficiency commission to say like, hey, where are we spending money that's sensible? Where is it not
Right.
sensible? And we need to live within our means. We're currently adding, I think, $1 trillion to the deficit roughly
Right.
every 100 days.
That's right.
And the interest payments on the national debt have now exceed the defense budget. It's on the order of
It's
$1 trillion, and
interest.
it keeps
Yeah, I
growing.
rebuilt our military, largely rebuilt our military, did a great job on it, which was so important. We had jets, we had fighters that were, and bombers that were 70 years old. And we did a great job in that. Then by the way, then we gave 85 billion of it back to Afghanistan, if you can believe it. We gave them 85 billion. They're one of the largest sellers
Yeah,
of military equipment in the world. They're selling what we gave them. That was one of the most embarrassing days in the history of our country. But if you think about, let's go back to the economy. We have to
Quick reminder: coupon is up at meetkevin.com.
started it. The price of
Course is on building your wealth, and course member live
don't
streams.
require too much gasoline, so you have a good, and you do make a great product. I have to say, I have to be honest with you.
thank
That
you.
doesn't mean everybody should have an electric car, but these are minor details. But your product is incredible. But the
Thank you.
gasoline, Elon, is the cost of energy, not only gasoline, it's the cost of heating your house and cooling your house. That has
Sure.
to come down. It's gone up 100%, 150, and 200%, and that has to come down. When that comes down, and we're going to
Yeah.
drill, baby, drill. You know, they stopped drilling, and then they went back to drilling because they went back to the Trump policy. But if they won the day after they get into office, we're going to, this country will go out of business because they're going to go to an energy policy that's not sustainable, wind and different things. You're not going to have anything.
Yeah.
And I know you're a big fan of the AI, and I have to say
Yeah.
that AI, and this is shocking to me, but AI requires twice the energy that the country already produces for everything. So you're going to have to build, we're going to have to build a lot of energy if our country will be competitive with China, because that's our primary competitor for this on the AI. You're going to
Sure.
need a lot of
Well, I mean,
electricity. You're going to need tremendous
yeah.
electricity, like almost double what we produce now for the whole country, if you can believe it.
Sure. Well, just going, back to this, like this basic thing, which that people try to make it sound complicated, but it's not. But inflation is caused by government
Right.
overspending. Would you agree that we need to take a look at government
Yes.
spending and have perhaps a government efficiency commission that just tries to make the spending sensible and so the country lives within its means, just like a
The
person does.
waste is incredible, and nobody
It
negotiates
is.
prices. You used to have a lot of people making jets, and you end up with two companies, and they'll probably try and merge at some point. I mean, I watch.
Yeah, quick note, that reference to electricity demand or usage doubling, I'm pretty sure that's a reference to data center electricity doubling, not the entire country's electricity doubling. It's a
Air Force
difference.
One. That's with Boeing, which is basically two planes, two 747s. And the price was
Yeah.
$5.7 billion for two planes. Now they're
Wow.
highly sophisticated.
That's
They're
insane.
even nicer than your plane, okay? But much more sophisticated. They're very. I won't say what's on it, but they got a lot of stuff on it. Anyway, but it's
Sure.
5.7. I
That's a crazy
It's a
number.
crazy number, but I said I'm not going to pay 5.7. I'm not going to do it. I said, who made the deal? Obama and his people. I said, well, then I know the deal's no good. I'm not going to do it. And over a course of about 4 weeks, by my saying I'm not going to do it, I got the price reduced by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane, other than we had a nicer paint job, if you want to know the truth. But for the exact same plane, I saved one. And I said to Boeing, man, you guys must make a lot of money if you can reduce the price by that. But now what I do hear is that they're going back to the Biden administration and wanting big cost overruns, because they see these dopey suckers in there, and they'll end up getting some of the money back. But I shaved it by $1.6 billion for the exact same plane, and you can now take that and multiply that out times thousands of other
Exactly.
items, and
Multiply it by
yeah,
a
the
zillion,
numbers are
and yeah, yeah.
astronomical. I agree with you.
Well, I mean, if so, I think it would be great to just have a government efficiency commission that takes a look at these things and just ensures that the taxpayer money, the taxpayers' hard-earned money, is spent in a good way. And I'd be happy to help out on such a commission
I'd
if
love it.
it were formed.
Well, you're the greatest cutter. I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, "You want to quit?" They go on strike.
Yeah.
I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike, and you say, "That's okay. You're all gone. You're all gone." So every one of you is gone, and you are the greatest. You would be very good. Oh, you would love it. But if you look at Argentina.
Well, I'd be happy to
Yeah, by
help
the way,
out.
congratulations. I
Yeah.
just looked at the number of people that are listening to you and I chat. We'll call it a chat. But
Yeah.
congratulations. This is very good. I mean, it's great. And you're an interesting character. The new head of a place called Argentina, and he's a big,
Malay's
Javier
he's
Milei.
great. And
Yeah.
he's a big MAGA fan, that he ran on MAGA, and he took it to an extreme too. He ran on MAGA, and I hear he's doing really a terrific job. It's called Make Argentina Great Again. It worked out perfectly. He came in, he bought a lot of hats, he brought over, but he's doing a big job. He really cut. And I'm hearing
Yeah.
they're starting to do pretty well. Inflation's getting down. They had like
Yes. Exactly.
2,000%. And they had inflation like not normal inflation. They had the real deal. But We're going to
Yeah.
have that pretty soon. We have, I think we
Yeah.
have the worst inflation we've had in 100 years. They say it's 48 years. I don't believe it. I think we have the worst. They
Yeah.
don't include a lot of the items that should be included, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's just from government overspending and not spending taxpayer money
Yeah,
effectively, and having just like so many departments you can't even name them all. And what Milei is doing is he's cutting government spending. He's simplifying things. He's having putting in regulations that make sense, and we're Argentina overnight is experiencing a giant improvement
that's
in
right.
prosperity. But it's also a lesson for the United States, which is that um, Argentina used to be one of the most prosperous countries in the world. Um,
Right.
in the like in the 30s, 40s, and because of bad government policy, it ruined the country. And if you take Venezuela, for example, Venezuela should be incredibly prosperous. They have phenomenal reserves of everything, oil, everything, and it should be prosperous. But if the government's wrong, it impoverishes the people. And so I think we should not be complacent in the United States in thinking that and taking our prosperity for granted, because if with bad government policy, we can run the country into the ground, and that's just something people should bear in mind. Don't take prosperity for granted.
Well, think of education. So we're ranked at the bottom of every list of the top 40. We're ranked number 40, number 38. Uh, Norway, Switzerland, Sweden, different countries are ranked good. Actually, China's pretty close to the top. They're a top 6 or 7, but we're ranked at the bottom, almost at the bottom, 38, 39, 40. In other words, horrible. And yet we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world. So we spend more. And what I'm going to do, one of the first acts, and this is where I need an Elon Musk. I need somebody that has a lot of strength and courage and smarts. I want to close up Department of Education, move education back to the states,
Yeah,
where states like Iowa, where states like Idaho, not every state will do great because states that basically aren't doing good now. You look at Gavin Newsom, the governor of California. He he's terrible. He does a terrible job. So he's not going to do great with education. But of the
yeah,
50, I would bet that 35 would do great, and 15 of
yeah,
them, or 20 of them will be as good as Norway. Norway is considered great. Uh, you can name them. I mean, they're so good. Some of
yeah.
these countries are so good. But if you go into some of these really well-run states, we have states that don't know what debt is. We have states that have low taxes, no debt, everybody working. They're really well run,
Sure.
and maybe they have certain advantages in terms of location, in terms of the land or the sun, and the water and the whole thing. There are a lot of advantages that some people have. But if you moved education back to the 50, you'll have some that won't do well, but they'll actually be forced to do better because it'll be a pretty bad situation.
Yeah.
But if you think
Well,
about it,
yeah,
you'll have some
yeah,
of
yeah,
these states. I'll bet you'd have 30, 35 states. It'll be much better. And you know what it'll cost? Less than
yeah,
half what it is in Washington. And
yeah.
these people don't care
Well,
about the
yeah.
students in these, faraway states. And it'd
Well,
be unbelievable.
yeah. I think you're making a good point in that if the states if each if each state has to compete against other states, then people will
That's
naturally
right.
move to states where it's better.
Well, like
Um,
California, as we said, it's a badly run state. I could go through. I got so many friends that are in those states, even if they're Democrats. I hate to mention certain states, but Illinois is badly run with Pritzker. He's a real loser.
yeah,
But some of these places are just badly run. But it's almost going to force them to run better, and they won't do a good at initially. But you're not going to do worse than you're doing right now. And I would say that
yeah,
the cost, you would cut your cost by 50 or 60%. And you'd have a little
yeah, yeah,
monitor. You want to make sure they're teaching English as an example. Give us a
yeah.
little English, right?
Sure, yeah.
Right?
No, but I mean, to what? Some of these governors are doing so badly. I mean, they got so many people moving out of their state. They should get U-Haul Salesman of the Year award because they're driving so much U-Haul
It's
sales.
actually
Because just
amazing.
people moving out.
Isn't it amazing to you as a businessman that they can even survive. Like Illinois, so many people are leaving, and you wonder, how do they survive? I mean, how do they survive? Uh, I saw where you left California and you moved to Texas. Texas does a great job. But, you know, I
Yeah.
mean, I just wonder, how do these states survive when big businesses, a big oil company just left California, as you know, and they moved to Texas. How do these big states survive when they lose so many businesses and their taxes are already really high? You know, the taxes are among the highest
Yeah.
taxes. You almost wonder, how do they continue on? And in many cases, the governors don't do a good job in their crime-ridden places. You wonder, how do they continue to just go on? It's
Well,
not a good
I think there's.
situation.
I mean, I think the only thing that's going to force some of these states to change is if they risk bankruptcy and they're not getting bailed out by the federal
Right,
government.
right. Well,
That's
you're
the
going to
only thing
have
that's going to
that.
get them to change.
You remember the
Yeah.
area in California where they had that, where I guess somebody had sticky fingers and they stole a lot of money, and they went into a form of chapter, and it was very
Yeah.
nasty
Yeah.
for a period of time. But now it's probably the most popular place in all of California. So you know, at some point, something like that may have to happen. But the problem is, you can't penalize people that loan money to the state when you have incompetent people like a Pritzker. Look, the family didn't want him in the family business, and then he ends up being governor of Illinois. So you know what, is he going to be? Is he going to be a great governor? And you know, you have people. I could name every one of them. I got to know every one of
Yep.
these, and some are very good, and some are just horrible.
Well, I think that I mean the larger point here, too, as you're saying, like a lot of people are concerned about the economy, a lot of people are concerned about inflation, and inflation is effectively a tax on people that save money,
Yeah,
and for people that are working day to day, it's just a form of taxation, and if we can solve the government spending problem, we'll solve the inflation problem, which means people will have a better standard of living, and
yeah.
that's a really big
Well, the
deal.
people that got hurt
Um,
worst are the people that did it the way they were taught to do it all through, you know, their younger life and their young life and their whole life. The people that saved money and then they got no interest on their money and inflation destroyed them. And frankly, they were almost better off if they didn't do anything like that. I mean, those people have been absolutely decimated, and we're going to bring those people back and help those people. We've got to get the prices down. You know, when I look at bacon costing 4 or 5 times more than it did a few years ago,
sure.
when you look at some of the food products in grocery stores, people go, they can't believe it. They used to be able to buy a whole cart, and today, you know, a lot of people just don't have the money. They go in and they can't buy anything. They look at
Yeah,
it's
it's.
sticker
I
shock.
think
They
it.
call it
Yeah.
sticker shock, right?
I think it really just comes, like I said, I think it just comes down to really, I guess, two things, which is that if you solve government overspending, you solve inflation, which improves living
Right.
standards of the average person, and then if you deregulate, like have sensible regulations, so because a lot of the regulations are nonsensical and cause the cost to be extreme for no reason, but unless you've got effective deregulation, like Reagan did a great job on deregulation in the '80s, but it's been 40 years since we had
That's right.
anyone really. I mean, during your administration, we made some progress, but I think there's an opportunity to make, I think, radical progress with sensible regulation.
Yeah.
And
Well,
if those
Elon, we
those two things, yeah, those are the big
yeah,
deals.
we set a record. We did more deregulation and more restrictions on all of the different businesses than any other president. Remember I had the rule for everyone we put in, you have to get rid of 10 or 12. And we did
Yeah,
radical cuts on all of that, and a lot of that's being put back by this administration. And we did radical cuts on things that weren't necessary. But we were all set. You know, we had the best economy ever, maybe in the world. And then what happened is COVID came in, and we had to focus on that, and nobody knew what it was. And I always say I got good marks on economy, good marks on military. We knocked out ISIS. We did so many different things. We rebuilt. But, you know, I never got the credit that we really deserved on what we did with COVID. We never got the credit. But if had that not happened, a gift from China, from Wuhan, came in from Wuhan, the Wuhan labs, and I always said it, and it turned out to be right. But
yeah,
had that not happened, we were set to start reducing debt. We were going to reduce taxes further. I gave the largest tax cuts, and we were going to reduce taxes still further for middle income people, not only businesses. But we did it for
Sure.
businesses because they're the ones that's why we had the great job numbers. But we were set to really start reducing debt. And, we're sitting on the biggest pile of liquid gold anywhere in the world, bigger than Saudi Arabia, bigger than Russia. And we were going to drill and we were going to make so much money. We were going to supply Europe with oil. I had stopped the Russian pipeline and we were going to supply them with oil and gas. We were going to make a fortune. And then the COVID came in, and we really had to divert. Then what happened is when they came in, we kept a lot of businesses alive. If I didn't do what we did, we would have had a 1929 type depression. But the problem is when Biden came in, he got trillions of dollars and just started spending it stupidly. You didn't need it anymore. We got over that bad period where everybody was dying and feeling, it was just not a good period. Interestingly, during his administration, many more people died during his administration of COVID than during my administration, and we really got the brunt of it. But people don't realize more people died during his administration than ours. But it diverted us from doing what I wanted to do. But we had the greatest for almost 3 years. We had the
Yeah.
great, and you know that probably better than anybody. So many of your friends said to me, the best years we've ever had in business were during the Trump years, and also said that African American, Hispanic American were so incredible. They were having the best. Asian American women, men, young people without a diploma, young people that graduated from the best colleges, from MIT, from the Wharton School, from all of the great colleges, Harvard. They were doing better, and people without a diploma were doing better, and everybody was happy. And then COVID came, and
Sure.
we had the problem is they spent trillions and trillions of dollars. They wasted. They shouldn't have taken any money, and we wouldn't be having inflation right now, which is killing our country.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, I should probably say something about maybe my views on climate change
Yeah,
and oil and gas, because I think I'm probably different from what most people would assume, because my views are actually pretty, I think, moderate in this regard, which is that I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry and the people that have worked very hard in those industries to provide the necessary energy to support the economy. And if we were to stop using oil and gas right now, we would all be starving, and the economy would collapse. So I don't think it's right to sort of vilify the oil and gas industry, and the world has a certain demand for oil and gas, and it's probably better if the United States provides that than some other
sure.
countries, and it would help with prosperity in the U.S. And at the same time, obviously, my view is like we do over time want to move to a sustainable energy economy, because eventually you do run out of. I mean, you run out of oil and gas. It's not there for. It's not infinite. Um, and there is some risk. I think the risk is not as high as a lot of people say it is with respect to global warming. But I think if you just keep increasing the parts per million in the atmosphere long enough, eventually it actually simply gets uncomfortable to breathe. People don't realize this. If you go past 1,000 parts per million of CO2, you start getting headaches and nausea. And so we're now in the sort of 400 range. We're adding, I think, about roughly 2 parts per million per year. So I mean, it still gives us. So what it means is like we still have quite a bit of time, but so there's not like we don't need to rush, and we don't need to stop farmers from farming, or you know uh, prevent people from having steaks or
Right,
basic stuff like
right.
that. Like you can leave the farmers alone,
I agree.
in
How
my opinion.
crazy is that where
I mean,
you have farmers that are not allowed to farm anymore and have to get rid of their cattle, and the whole world is
yeah,
a
that's
little
silly.
crazy, but it's largely taken its lead from us. I do say though, I've heard in terms of the fossil fuel, because even to create your electric car and create the electricity needed for the electric car. Fossil fuel is what really creates that at the generating plants. And, so you sort of can't get away from it at this moment. I mean, someday you might be able to, but I do hear we have anywhere from 100 to 500 years left. much of it hasn't even been found yet.
Yeah.
But there are tremendous, like Anwar. I got Anwar in Alaska approved. Ronald Reagan couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Everybody tried. Nobody could do it. I got it approved. The first thing that Biden did was unimprove to get rid of it. He ended
Yeah.
it. His secretary went in and she ended it. And what a disgrace. That's Anwar. That's bigger, or they think it could be bigger than Saudi Arabia in Alaska. Could be bigger than Saudi Arabia. But they went in and they terminated it. And I'll get it going very quickly because not only is it big for Alaska, I mean, you talk about economic development, that for the United States, I mean, that is, they say bigger than Saudi Arabia or the same size, and pure,
Yeah.
really good stuff. And, they end it. So I think we have, perhaps hundreds of years left. Nobody really knows. But during
Yeah.
that
I mean,
time,
my
something will
estimate.
come around that will be
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and my estimate would be, a little more uh, aggressive than that, but it's not the sort of like we're all going to die in 5 years stuff. That's obviously BS. Um, but I mean, my view is like if you just look at sort of the parts per million that increments every year, you get sort of 2 or 3 parts per million every year of CO2. Uh, y- I mean, I think some of that it's problematic if it accelerates if you start going from 2 or
Right.
3 to say 5, and then there may be some situations where you get just a step change increase in the CO2,
Mm-hmm.
and I think we don't want to get too close to 1,000 ppm because like that's actually makes it uncomfortable to breathe. Like just existing in 1,000 ppm CO2 is uncomfortable. That's like that's considered like an industrial hazard.
Right.
Just so it's that's actually you start getting headaches and stuff. So it's even without global warming, it's not comfortable to live. So you don't want to get too close to that. But I mean, I think we've got. I think we want to just move over and like, and if I don't know, 50 to 100 years from now, we're I don't know, mostly sustainable. I think that'll probably be okay. Um, so it's not like the house is on fire immediately, but I think it is something we need to move towards. And on on balance, it's probably better to move there faster than slower. But like I said, without vilifying the oil and gas industry, and without causing hardship in the short term. I think this can be done um, without but people can still have a stake and they can still drive gasoline
Sure.
cars and it's okay. It's like it's not. I don't think we should vilify people for it, but I think we should just generally lean in the direction of sustainability. And I actually think solar is going to be a majority of Earth's energy generation in the future, and it's certainly trending that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get the solar power, combine that with batteries, so because obviously the sun doesn't shine at night, and then you use that to charge the electric cars, and you have a long-term sustainable solution. And that's what Tesla's trying to move things towards, and I think we've made a lot of progress in that regard. But when you look at our cars, we don't believe that environmentalism, that caring about the environment should mean that you have to suffer. So we make sure that our cars are beautiful, that they drive well, that they're fast, they're sexy. I mean, they're cool. In fact, literally, I made this sexy joke: Model S, Model 3, Model X, and Y spells out sexy. It's probably the most expensive joke out there.
Right.
Um, but I don't know, I like cheesy humor, so, um, but I'm not, I'm a big fan of like, let's have an inspiring future and
Yeah.
let's work towards, a better future and we can do so without demonizing
Right.
people.
I'm okay.
You know,
It's very interesting. You use the word global warming, and today they use the word climate change because you have some places that go up, and so they were getting themselves in a little trouble with the word global warming because not every place is warming. Some places are going the opposite direction. But I'm sort of waiting for you to come up with solar panels on the roofs of your cars and on the trunks of the cars, and it just seems like something that at some point you will come up with. I'm sure you'll be the first, but it would seem that a solar panel on the roofs, on flat surfaces,
No.
on certain surfaces, might
You
be
need them to be so much more efficient than they are today. They're like 20%
or
efficient
the
today. It
world
sure.
sucks.
where you have the sun. But I would think, and I have no idea because that's not my world, but I would think that this would be something that would be interesting. But the one thing that I don't understand is that people talk about global warming or they talk about climate change, but they never talk about nuclear warming. And to me,
Sure.
that's an immediate problem because you have, as I said, 5 countries where you have major nuclear, and probably some others are getting there, and that's very dangerous. That's where you need a strong American president because you don't want to have this proliferation. But you have 5 countries and getting more. China is much less than us right now, but they're going to catch us sooner than people think. They're way lower. Russia and us are number one, and I mean, we're sort of tied. And China is far behind, but they're developing at a level that you're not surprised to hear very fast. They'll end up catching up, maybe even
Yeah.
surpassing. But to me, the biggest
Yeah.
problem is not climate change. It's not, and everything's a problem, but it's degrees. To me, the big problem is the nuclear power. The power of nuclear is so great. And when I talk
Yeah. Yeah.
about
Nuclear power is underrated. It's
I'll
awesome.
prevent World War
Yeah.
III, I will. But the truth is
Trump's
that
talking about nuclear bombs. Elon's talking about nuclear energy.
going back and forth and shooting at each other. This is
Yeah.
a level of destruction and power that nobody's ever seen before.
Yeah, and actually, there's the bad side of nuclear, which is a nuclear war, very bad side. But there's also, I think, nuclear electricity generation is
Absolutely. You're
underrated,
right.
and it's actually, people have this fear of nuclear electricity generation, but it's actually one of the safest forms of electricity generation. It's just a huge misunderstanding. Um, and if you look at the injuries and deaths, caused by, say, I mean, I'm not going to try to pick on coal mining, but just any kind of mining
Right.
operation, and there's a certain number of injuries and deaths per year. And you compare that to nuclear. Nuclear is actually way better. So it's underrated as an electricity source, and I think it's something that's worth reconsidering. But there's so much regulation that people can't get it done. So that
Maybe they'll have
sort
to
of
change the
have it,
name. The name is just, it's a rough name. There are some areas
yeah, it's a rough
like when
name.
you see what happened in,
Good bad
right,
branding. The
we'll have to
branding's rough.
rebrand it. We'll have to give it a good name. We'll name it after you or something.
No,
No,
I think
it has a branding problem. When you see what happened
it does have a branding problem.
when you see what happened in Japan, where they say you won't be able to go on the land for about 3,000 years. Did you ever see that? And in Russia, where they had the problem, where there's a lot of bad things happened, and they have a problem. And they say that in 2,000 years, people will start to occupy the land again. You realize it's pretty bad,
No,
but
that's not true.
but you're
Well, no,
right
no,
about it. It's amazing.
it's actually not that bad. So like after Fukushima happened in Japan, like people were asking me in California, are we worried about like a nuclear cloud coming from Japan? I'm like, no, that's crazy. It's actually it's not even dangerous in Fukushima. I actually flew there and ate locally grown vegetables on TV to prove it. Um, and I donated a solar water treatment, yeah, a solar powered system for a water treatment plant, and
Yeah, but you haven't
because the
been
danger
feeling
is
so
just
well lately, and I'm worried about it.
no, but I mean
I'm
it's just
only kidding.
it's
I'm only
fine,
kidding.
it's like Hiroshima and Nagasaki were bombed, but now they're like full cities again. So
Right.
it's
Well, that's
really
great.
not
That's great.
something that
That's
um,
great.
so it's not as scary as people think, basically. But
Yeah.
um, let's see. I mean, are there some other topics we should touch on? Oh, like lawfare. I think
Well,
we need to be concerned about.
what they've done to
Um,
this country.
obviously,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, we just won the big
I mean,
case in Florida. This was a Biden administration did something that's never been done in this country, and that's go after their political opponent, me, with this nonsense and just nonsense. And the big case in Florida we won, but they always pick a judge and a jury, and they use local DAs, they use the local attorney generals, like Fani, Fani, spelled
yeah,
Fani, Fani, and it's
yeah,
all a big hoax, and it's all run from there. Like in Manhattan, the one of the top people from the Justice Department went in, ran Manhattan, ran the state. The Letitia James deal was run by a person from the Department of Justice, Biden. They've never done this before,
sure.
and they set up a very bad precedent. It's called lawfare, warfare.
Yeah.
It's a terrible thing and never happened in our country. It does happen in banana republics and third world countries, but it's never
Yeah.
happened. And the incredible thing is it actually drove my numbers up because people see, fortunately I have a platform like you, or, in all fairness, like a conversation like this, where I can talk about it and people understand. I mean, you fight for election integrity and you end up getting indicted because you're fighting for election integrity. And when the day comes that you can't fight for election integrity, you don't have a country anymore. So what
Yeah.
happens is they went after their political opponent, me. Now Biden's, close to vegetable stage, in my opinion. Okay, I looked at him today on the beach, and I said, why would anybody allow him? The guy could barely walk. Why would anybody allow him? Does
Yeah.
he have a political advisor that thinks this looks good? He thinks this looks good because it looks so bad, and it's ridiculous. I mean, and he's been doing
Right.
that
Right.
for a long time. He can't lift the chair. The chair weighs about 3 ounces. It's meant for children and old people to lift, and he can't
Yeah.
lift it. The whole thing is
Well,
crazy.
he's clearly not, I mean, he's clearly like we just don't have a president right
You
now.
don't
That's
have a
just obviously the
president, and
case.
she's going to be worse than him
Um,
because she is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco, and then as Attorney General, she destroyed California. You talk about location, and we're talking about the sun and the water and all. There's nothing better than California. She has destroyed that. She was the original DA. She was the original in San Francisco. She was the original Attorney General in California. What she has done to California is, well, you know better than I do. You just left California for a lot of those reasons. And what she's done with crime, with cashless bail, where you kill somebody. I mean, we have states there you kill somebody and they let you out right away. I mean, you don't have to even put up, and then they never find the people unless they kill again, and then they let them out again. Our
yeah.
country is becoming a very dangerous place. And she is a radical left San Francisco liberal. And now she's trying to protect. Now she's looking like she wants to be more Trump than Trump, if that's possible. I don't think it's possible, but she wants to be more Trump than
Well,
Trump.
yeah.
I want a wall. I
I
want,
think that's
she
yeah.
wants to release all the
Yeah.
prisoners that are in detention, and some of these guys are really bad.
Right.
That just came
Yeah. I
out
just saw
today.
that.
She
Yeah.
doesn't want to build the wall, even though the walls work. Walls and wheels. In your business, everything you do is obsolete, almost, well, not the tunnels, but everything is obsolete. Even your rocket ships, they're like a month later, they're obsolete. You find a better way to. The only thing that's not obsolete is a wall and a wheel. And the wall, I built hundreds of miles of wall, and that's why we had such good numbers. I was going to add
Yeah.
200 miles. We bought it. We could have flipped it up in 3 weeks, and they sold it for 5 cents on the dollar. That meant, I said, wow, that means that they actually do want to have open borders. She wants to have open borders, and now she's going like she's tough on the border. It's such a lie.
Yeah. This is simply not true.
Yeah,
This is simply not
no, and
true.
everybody
Yeah.
knows
It's
it's
simply not
not true.
true.
It's a disgrace that she can
Yeah.
say it.
No, I mean, obviously, what's happening sort of overnight is they're rewriting history and making Kamala sound like a moderate when in fact she is far left, like far
Worse
left.
than Bernie
Um,
Sanders. She is considered more
yeah,
liberal by far than Bernie Sanders. She's a radical left lunatic. And if she's going to be our president, very quickly, you're not going to have a country anymore. And she'll go back to all of
yeah,
the things that she believes in. She believes in defunding the police. She believes in no fracking, zero. You don't. Now all of a sudden she's
yeah.
saying, no, I will. I really want to see fracking. If they got in, the day she got in, she'll end fracking. And by the way, if people didn't think that, the lunatics that really believe in that, they won't vote for her. Like like the
Yeah.
Palestinians and Israel. She is so anti-Israel, and she's bad for both. Biden actually did something that was impossible. Both sides hate him. Both sides. That was a hard
Yeah.
thing to do. Unification.
Yeah, no. I mean, Netanyahu came to give a talk to a joint Senate and House sitting, and I was there, and Kamala stood him up. What does that say?
I think
Um,
it's highly
that's
disrespectful. And I say, if you're a Jewish person or if you believe in Israel, if you're a person that, is very pro-Israel, if you vote for her, it's worse than Biden, and Biden was bad. But if you vote for her, you ought to have your head examined. And you see tonight, I mean, as we're doing this, I'm seeing reports coming that they expect an attack tonight or tomorrow from hundreds and maybe thousands of rockets. You know, their Iron Dome, as they call it, as we all call it, but their shield that they build, that can be swamped. We'll use the term that's
Yeah.
appropriate, swamped. But they
Yeah.
swamp it by shooting enough missiles. You know this better than anybody. By shooting enough missiles,
So,
they can't defend themselves. You know, they just obliterate the whole
yeah.
place. And that's what some people think they're looking to do. And we have no leadership. There's no respect for the United States of America with these people. And I'm telling you,
Yeah.
she'll be worse than him because she's a believer
Yeah. No,
in
I
being
think you're right.
radical left, and he wasn't.
I think you're right. I mean, you really, it's important for the public that may be listening to this to look at Kamala's track record, before the last like month, and say, is that a track record you agree with? And I think if you're an independent moderate, you definitely would not agree with it, because it is her behavior has been far left, and we're seeing just an overnight propaganda attempt to rewrite history and make it sound like Kamala's moderate when she in fact is not moderate.
Well,
So I
her
think that,
running mate approved, signed into legislation, tampons in boys' bathrooms. Okay, now
yeah,
that's
yeah,
all I
that's
have
weird.
to hear. Tampons in
That's
boys'
weird.
bathrooms, and that means she believes
Yeah,
in that too. I mean,
yeah, that's
she
not
picked this
okay.
guy because he was the closest to her. A lot of people thought she'd pick sort of the opposite, but she picked an anti-Israel radical left person. But she is far worse, they say, than Bernie Sanders. If we have her as a president, if we have a Democrat at this moment as a president, I don't think our country can survive.
I think it's a massive. I think we're in massive trouble, frankly, with the Kamala administration, and that's my honest opinion. Um, and uh, and I think really it's essential that you win for the good of the country for this election. And I mean, I'm just stating my opinion. Now, you may have seen this, but I got a letter from the EU Commission, like saying, to not have disinformation on the like during this discussion that we're having, and there's a lot of attempts to do censorship and to force censorship even on Americans from other countries, and um, what do you think about that?
Well, I know the European Union very well. They take great advantage of the United States
Ah,
in trade, as you
here comes
know.
bingo.
We, through a different form,
Bingo.
NATO, we protect them. And
We
yet,
did it.
if you build a car in the United States, you can't sell it in Europe. You just can't sell it. It's impossible. The same thing with our farmers. Our farmers find it very difficult to do business. You know, we have a deficit with them of $250 billion, which people don't know. It sounds so nice, the European Union, but let me tell you, they're not as tough as China, but they're bad. And I let them know it, and that's probably why they notified you. No, they don't treat our country well. We defend them, you know, with Ukraine. So we're in for 250 billion, and they're in for about 71 billion, and they have the same size. It's if you add up the European nations that in terms of an economy, it's about the same size. When you say as us, and they're in,
Yeah,
and they're in much greater risk. They they're right there. We have an ocean separating us from, in this case, the enemy would be Russia. It used to be for the
yeah,
Soviet Union, but let's assume they're close enough. And what happens is uh, they're in for 70 something million. I think even less than that, billion, and we're in for about 250 billion, and it could be a lot higher than that. And I say, why aren't you going to equalize? Why aren't they paying what we're paying? And they're in much more, it's much more important for them because of the fact that, they're right near there. I mean, they're all sort of in that location. We're not. But
yeah,
they should, and I did it with NATO. There were only 7 countries that were paid up in NATO out of 28 at the time. And the United States
yeah,
was
yeah,
the United States was subsidizing NATO, tremendously subsidizing NATO. And I said, I went
yeah,
in and I said, you
yeah,
got to pay up. If you don't pay up, we're not going to defend you any longer. I took a lot of heat But you know what happened? Billions and billions of dollars came flowing in, and
Yeah, I think a lot of the public isn't aware of the fact that the United States pays a disproportionate share of the NATO expenses,
and then we get
even though
taken
like
advantage of on trade. So think
yeah,
about it.
well, I mean, the point of NATO is defending Europe, and it's it's like then okay, well, why is the United States paying disproportionately more to defend Europe than Europe? That doesn't make sense. That's unfair, and that is an appropriate thing to address.
Well,
Um,
when you talk about
so
cost cutting and savings and everything else, I mean, honestly, look, there's nobody that feels worse about the Ukraine situation than I do because I know it would have never happened. I know Zelensky. He was very honorable to me because when they went with the Russia hoax and they said I had a phone call with him, he said it was a perfect phone call. It was a great phone call. He could have grandstanded and, said, oh, he was very threatening. He said, no, it was a very nice phone call. I called him up to congratulate him on his win, and you end up getting impeached because these people are
yeah, yeah,
lunatics. I was talking about the difference from the people within and the enemies on the outside. In many cases, the people from within are more dangerous for our country than the Russias and the Chinas. If you have a smart president, you're not going to have a problem with them. You're going to do things.
yeah,
Now, they've taken advantage
yeah,
of us
absolutely.
incredibly, but you're going to do things with the right person.
Yeah, well, I think it's obvious that you're a believer and an advocate of free speech because during your first term as president, you were attacked relentlessly every day, often very unfairly with with false attacks, and you didn't try to shut down the media, you didn't try to inhibit their freedom of speech, and I think that says a lot.
Well, the good thing is that you and I have, and some people, very few, we can get the word out. Although sometimes it's hard because they don't want to print it, like we're having a great conversation right now. Kamala wouldn't have this conversation. She can't because she's not
No.
smart. She's not a smart person, by the way. She can't have this conversation. And Biden, we don't even have to talk about it. I mean, he couldn't have this conversation. He would have given up on the first half of a question. He would have walked out. He would have said, "Where am I? Where am I going?" So anyway, but
Yeah,
no, he wouldn't have this.
that's true.
Not a lot of people would have this conversation, but we cover a lot of territory. But the beauty is that we can have a conversation, and
Yes, you can
I'm
actually
able
have a
to get it out
conversation.
without because I get
I think
treated
this is a
unfairly
this
by
is
the
a really
press.
big point. You can actually have a conversation with you,
Yeah, it's nice, isn't
and you can't have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's
it?
like not it's not possible.
That's true.
Um,
It's
so this is like talking to an NPC. So
no.
it's just
Well,
impossible.
but think of it. We need a man or person who's unbelievably sharp in order to stop all the nuclear danger and all the dangers that I'm talking about. And I got along with all these. I got along with Kim Jong Un. We had dinner, we had everything, and he really liked me, and I got along with him really well. By the way, he's the absolute boss over there. A lot of people said, "Oh, do you think he really?"
That's for
Let me
sure.
tell you, I saw things that you don't want to know about. He is the boss. But we had a good relationship, and he doesn't like Biden. He considers him a stupid man. He said he's a stupid man. Well, at least he speaks his mind. But in this country, you're not sort of allowed to say it. But I guess you are. You should be allowed to say it if
Yeah,
it's true. But we need smart people, and we need people that have an ability to lead. And she doesn't have that ability. Can you imagine? Now
yeah.
Chairman Xi very well. Can you imagine her and him negotiating, or
No, it's
even
silly. It would be
standing
silly.
together? It is, the whole concept
Yeah.
is ridiculous. She is terrible. She's terrible. But she's getting a free ride. I
It
saw a
would.
picture of her
Yeah, yeah,
on Time Magazine today. She looks like the most beautiful actress ever to live. It was a drawing, and
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
she looked very much like our great first lady, Melania. Didn't look.
Yeah.
She didn't look like Camilla. That's right. But of course, she's a beautiful woman. So we'll leave it at that, right?
Yeah, well, maybe like I think part of what people in America want to, people in America want to feel excited and inspired about the future. They want to feel like the
It's
future is
true.
going to be better than the past, and that America is going to do things that are greater than we've done in the past, reach
Right.
new heights that make you proud to be an American, and excited about the future. Um,
They want the
and I
American
think
dream
this,
back. They want the American dream back. More important than anything else. It's like you don't have that today because the people they've been just sucked. They see incompetent people running our. You know, the Biden thing is very interesting. People just found him to be incompetent. And when I debated him,
Kamala Harris's team just sent out an email saying the richest person in the world is a lackey for Team MAGA, and they're asking for donations in that email.
Grand projects that we could do. I mean, I think, like, we could build a base on the moon. We could send American astronauts to Mars. We
right?
could build high speed
Yep.
connections that are more advanced than anything else in the world between our cities, so people have fast transport. Um, it's possible to solve traffic with tunnels.
That's right.
We already made great progress in Vegas doing that, and and just do things that are exciting and inspiring and make the future feel like it's better than the past.
Well, I saw
And
what you did in Vegas, and I'll tell you, it was amazing. I got to see. I took a big glimpse at it, and it's incredible. It's incredible, and you could do that all over. You could do that all over. It's deep.
yeah,
You
and
don't even need much structure. Assuming you're in the right areas.
no, it's
It's
straightforward.
amazing.
So I think we could do some things that like China's got incredible high speed rail between its cities, but I think it's actually possible with tunnels if with deregulation with an ability to actually where it's like legal to actually do the tunnels. Then you could have high speed tunnels that are actually better than anything else in the world for high speed transport between cities, and that would be something that Americans can say, "Wow, okay, we've got something that's cooler than anyone else in the
Yeah.
world." That's the kind of thing that makes you proud to be an
And
American.
much safer than surface trains, where there is a danger there. With people, with crazy
Yeah,
people, it's much safer, much better. And it's sad because I've seen some of the greatest trains. I find it fascinating, and I've seen the systems and how they work, and the bullet trains they call them, I guess. And they
yeah,
they go unbelievably fast, unbelievably comfortable, with no problems. And we don't have anything like that in this country, not even close. And
yeah.
it doesn't make sense that we don't. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I think also like there's I'm kind of hopping on the excess regulation, but I think something that that I think people can generally understand is that what happens with laws and regulations is that there's more and more of them every year, and unless there's a process to clean them up, eventually everything becomes
You're right.
illegal, and that actually it slows down the development of new technologies. I mean, if you take the sort of like I think there's room for some reform at the FDA
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
improving the speed with which we approve drugs that could help save lives and improve people's
Yeah.
lives. Um, and
I
uh,
worked very
and
hard
and
on that.
that,
We got that down
yeah,
to the lowest number ever, and we got therapeutics approved in the FDA that people can't even believe the speed. But I took them on. I don't think they like me too much, but I got things approved in the FDA at numbers that they wouldn't believe. And it's a very bureaucratic group. Actually, it's a fine group of people in many cases. I got to know a lot of them, but I was pushing them really hard for Regeneron, for so many different things that were really pretty amazing. But the FDA takes too long. It's 12 years to get a product approved. I got it down to 4, and I
yeah.
got some things done very quickly. But it's really something that is going to have to be worked on because it takes too long. Just takes too long.
Yeah, it just takes too long, and it's you end up in the same with the approval, but it's just it takes years instead of something that I think could potentially take
Yeah,
months, that improves people's lives. And I
yeah,
think I just wanted to sort of hop on this
There's
point
a
that
picture of what Trump looks like on his call.
for reducing rules and regulations because otherwise they just keep building up every year and
yep,
you get like hardening of the arteries and eventually everything's illegal or takes forever and then we just we just ossify as a society. We can't make any
yeah.
progress, and that's it's a really big
Well,
deal.
Elon, just
So
getting back to the FDA for 1 second, I got something done called Right to Try. This is where you can go in and if you're terminally ill, you can use a space age, medicine or whatever it may be. We have the best doctors, the best labs in the world. We really do. And but people would go to other countries because you couldn't use the product, even if they thought it worked, because it's going through the FDA. I got it approved
Yeah.
where you can,
Yeah.
you basically, you look, nobody wanted, the doctors didn't want it because of the liability. The country didn't want it, our country, because they didn't want to get sued. These are people terminally ill. The insurance companies didn't want it and the pharmaceutical companies, nobody wanted it. I got everybody into a room and we came up with an agreement that you won't get sued. And also, they didn't want it on their record. If somebody's terminally ill and they die after taking a drug, they didn't want that on their record. So we set a separate list. If somebody was, so it wouldn't count as a negative.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you know, we got it
Yeah.
done. We have saved right to try. They've been trying to get this done for 58
Yeah.
years. And it sounds simple, but it wasn't because of, I mean, the insurance companies, nobody wanted it, but we got it done.
Sure.
Somebody signs, you sign a document that you're not going to sue the insurance companies, the country, you're not going to sue anybody. And we got it done. And we're saving tens of thousands of lives, right to try. Hopefully you never need it. But if you
Yeah.
do, you don't have to travel to Asia. People,
Right.
if they had money, they go to
Yeah.
Asia, they go
Sure.
to Europe. If they don't have money, they go home and die. That's what happened. They'd go home and
Yeah.
die.
Well, I mean, and actually, to give Europe some props here, it's like if a drug is approved in Europe, which has a crazy amount of regulations, it should obviously be approved in the U.S.
Yeah.
I mean, they got more regulations than we do. So why would a drug be approved in Europe and not in the U.S.? That's crazy.
Well, we did it. We did
Um,
something that really, they've been trying to do it for 50 years and they just couldn't get it done. And I got it done. And it's really something. But you're right. Some people go to Europe because a drug isn't approved here, but it's approved in Europe. And it's a drug that, generally speaking, would
yeah,
work. It's pretty crazy. You're
absolutely.
right.
And I think so, as long as people are properly informed of the pros and cons and like these are the risks, this is the risk, and like you make your own decision.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I think just,
So
in sort of closing up, and by the way, I'm looking at the numbers. You got a lot of people listening. I hope you don't get
yeah.
nervous because you got a lot of people listening to you right now, like 60 million or something. What is that number? It's crazy. It's amazing how you can see that right away. How many? What is the number? Wow. What is it?
Well,
Wow.
I think in
Wow,
terms of
that's a
people
that's a
that
big that's bigger than you said. You said 25 and you're much more than double that number, 25 million. I think you're going to be 60 or 70. And I guess over a period of time. Hey, I congratulate you. Do I get paid for this or not?
well, I think actually in terms of the number of people that will hear this conversation over the next few days to
Right.
weeks, it's going to be hundreds of
That's what they
millions.
say. Yeah, that's good. Well, look, it's an
Yeah.
honor. Yeah, I just asked this, are you better off now or were you better off when I was president? Nobody's better off now. People, we put out polls on that and nobody's better off now. Inflation has killed it. And they also feel very unsafe. You look at what's going on with a lot of different things. You look at the riots we had at the
Yeah.
colleges over, I mean, it's ridiculous, but
Right.
all of the riots, they just feel unsafe. And now they really feel unsafe because you have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. I call it Biden
Well,
migrant
yeah.
crime. Maybe I'll call it
Well,
Kamala migrant crime. But
I mean, with all these things, I always try to get to the ground truth by just asking people. And my mom lives in New York, and I was like, Mom, do have any of your friends, been attacked or assaulted? And she said, yeah, three of her friends in three
it's
separate
crazy.
incidents were assaulted just in recent months, just walking around the streets of New York. And I said, well, what happened to the people that assaulted them? Oh, nothing. They got away. Like, and they just
They
know that
always get away.
nothing's going. And they don't even they don't even bother reporting it because there's not they know that they're not going to people are not going to get prosecuted. They just let violent criminals out in New York
The only one
with
that gets
zero bail.
prosecuted is Donald Trump. They don't get, they prosecute Trump.
Yeah, I mean it's just obviously messed up
Oh, it's
if
terrible.
violent criminals are being getting off scot
Yep.
free, and meanwhile New York spending massive resources prosecuting you, and it's like what's this and I think the sort of sensible public looks at this and says what the heck's going on here? This is obviously abuse of the legal system. Um, the legal system is supposed to be protecting the
That's right.
public from violent criminals, and it should be obviously allowing the public to make their own decision about who should be president, as opposed to some legal case.
Once they start this precedent, because this can go on with the next one. I mean, this is a very bad precedent what they're doing in terms of, going after their political opponent. And that's all it is. It's going after their political opponent.
Yeah.
And then you get a judge who's, a strong Democrat. And I'm being nice when I say that, in many cases, crooked as hell. But you get a judge and you go into an area where a Republican gets 3 or 4% of the vote, and you'll have a jury pool
Yeah.
with people that hate Republicans or hate. It could
Sure.
also be the other way
Of
though,
course.
because it could start the other way in areas where they hate
Exactly.
Democrats, and you get into a
Yep.
Pandora's box. It's a very dangerous thing for this country, and a very dangerous thing even for the state. New York City is
Yep.
losing. New York
Absolutely.
City and state lose a lot of business over what they did to me, because these people say we don't want that to happen to us. That's no justice system. You have an unfair system of
Yes.
justice, and it's costing New York State a tremendous amount of money. People are leaving and companies are leaving, and they won't come back. So all of that stuff is important, but the economy now is the big thing, and we can turn that economy up so fast, and people are going to be back again. We're going to get rid of
Yeah. I think
inflation.
there's a lot of
Right.
opportunity. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So
And I just
I,
want to
th- I
I want to
think
congratulate you. You've done an amazing job. You have definitely got a fertile mind. We can talk. You and I can talk about rockets and,
it's kind of you to say. Thank you.
tunnels. We can talk about tunnels and rockets and electric cars. So many things. And now you're into the AI, and that's going to be another beauty, I'll say. So
Yeah.
it's an amazing thing you've done, Elon. It's an amazing thing, and I
Well,
congratulate you.
I mean, thank you. And well, I mean, I just say here, here's to an exciting, inspiring future that people can look forward to and be optimistic and excited about what happens next. And that's the kind of future that I think you will bring as president, and that's why I endorse you.
Well, I appreciate that. That endorsement meant a lot to me. Not all endorsements mean that much, to be honest. Your endorsement meant a lot. And, we have a phrase, make America great again. It's pretty simple, but it really says that we want to make
I'm
America.
going to do a full summary in just a moment.
We can do it now, but if we were going to suffer another 4 years like we've suffered for the last 4 years, I'm not sure the country can ever come back. That's how bad it is. It's so bad. We have to do a lot
I
of
think that's a
things.
very real
Yeah,
risk.
it's a big
That's a
risk.
very real risk.
Yeah.
And it's, I'd just like to note to people listening, like I've not been very political before, and if you look at my record, I've actually been I'm not like some sort of try to paint me as like a far right guy, which is absurd because I'm like making electric vehicles and solar and batteries helping with the environment, and I actually I supported Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand when he was running for president, and so it's not like I'm like some sort of dyed in the wool long term Republican. I call myself, uh, historically a moderate Democrat, but now I feel like we're really at a critical juncture for the country, and uh, I think a lot of people thought the Biden administration would be a moderate administration, but it's not, and obviously we're just going to see an even further left uh, administration with Kamala. That's my honest opinion. I mean, her dad is literally. I mean, she was brought up as an actual. Her dad is a Marxist economist. You can Google it. I mean, it's not a. We're not making this up. That's how she was brought up. So, and we want to have a future that is prosperous. And I think we're just at this critical juncture, and I think this is a case of the America is kind of at a fork in the road,
It's true.
and I think it will take if the path to, like you are the path to prosperity, and I think Kamala is the opposite. Then that's my honest opinion. I'm gonna get attacked like crazy, and I've also experienced quite a bit of lawfare myself, and but I'm just trying to tell people my honest opinion, and I haven't been really active in politics before, and I'm just trying to point out that my track record historically has been moderate, if not moderate, slightly left, and so this is to people out there who are in the moderate camp to say I think you should support um, Donald Trump for president. And I think it's actually a very important junction in the road, and we're in deep trouble if it goes the other way.
Well, I want to thank you. And, I actually always did think of you as somewhat left. I must say that. So it's
Yeah.
even more of an
Well,
honor to have
yeah.
your endorsement. I know how strong you feel about it. but when you think of her, San Francisco 15 years ago, I had a great friend, Bob Tish. He said it's the greatest city in America. And now it's almost not livable there. And California likewise. And she was involved in the destruction of San Francisco and the destruction of California. And she will be involved in the destruction of our country if people are so unwise as to elect her. And I hope that doesn't happen. And I hope the elections are going to be run honestly. And we're going to turn this country around. We're going to do things and we can do it fairly quickly. And we have to get rid of the criminals that have been, given to us by other countries as they laugh. They laugh at
Yeah.
us. They think we're stupid to accept these people. These are radical, stone cold killers in many cases. And
Now, The
terrorists.
Economist verified, by the way, that her dad was indeed a Marxist economist,
And we have to take
unabashedly
them
too.
out.
Yeah, I mean, if I could summarize it, perhaps, I think these are issues that I think most people in America would agree with, which is that we want safe and clean cities, we want secure borders, we want sensible government spending, we want to restore both the perception and reality of respect in the judicial system, just stop the lawfare, and I think that's like, and how are those even right wing positions? I think those are that's just common sense, and that's I mean, would you agree with that?
100%. I don't understand, the whole, they call it progressive. They don't like the word liberal anymore, but call it liberal or progressive. I don't understand how somebody could say that it's okay for them to empty prisons into our country. And again, I told you their
Yeah,
crime rates
definitely
all
not
over the world
okay.
are going way down, which makes sense. In fact, the next time what we'll do is if something happens with this election, which would be a horror show, we'll meet the next time in Venezuela because it'll be a far safer place to meet than our country. Okay. So we'll go, you and I will go and we'll have a meeting and dinner in Venezuela because that's what's happening. Their crime rate's coming down and our crime rate's going through the roof. And it's so simple. And you haven't seen anything yet because these people have come into our country and they're just getting acclimated. And they don't know about being politically correct law enforcement or lack of law enforcement. And our police, I have to just end with this. We have great police. We have great law enforcement, but they're not allowed to do their job. They have to be able
Yeah,
to do their
Yeah.
job without being
agreed.
destroyed.
Well, absolutely, and it's obviously demoralizing if you're a police officer risking your life to arrest violent criminals who could kill you and do kill you sometimes, and then you arrest the violent criminal, and then the DA doesn't prosecute, and they just let the guy out.
Right.
Well, then, like, why should a police officer risk their life uh, to arrest a violent felon
Well, even worse,
if
Elon,
nothing's going to happen?
even worse, they prosecute the police officer. They go after it and they prosecute the police officer and they take away his pension. They take away his
Yeah.
job. He loses his family. He loses his house.
Well, I thought it was very telling, like incredibly telling, that when there was that case where sort of a gang of thugs beat up police officers. I think it was in Times
Yep.
Square in New York, and and then nothing happened to those guys. They were let out, zero bail, and I think a bunch of them were given free tickets to California. Well, what is I mean, that is a gross indignity against the United States, and that's how, I mean, this is insane. Like, have we lost all pride? How can such a thing be allowed to occur?
I've never seen anything.
You know?
We see where they get shot. It's a very dangerous profession, but it's something they're very proud of and they want to be able to do their job. But I've seen them get shot. I've seen a lot of things. But I've never seen where these guys are standing in the middle of a big street, everybody watching them, and they're literally boxing, like punching, stand up fighting a police officer. There were two of them, and you
Yeah,
had about six
yeah,
of
yeah.
these guys, and they're punching the hell out of them. And in their own country, they would be dead if they did that. They'd be shot. They
Yes.
would be shot instantly. And they come from these countries, and it's taking them a while to realize that we don't do that in this country. But in their own
Yeah,
country, if they stood on a street and had a fight with a police officer, they would be shot. There's no political correctness, and
yeah. It's
it's
just
such a sad thing to see. And that's the reason you
we
have
yeah
crime, by the way,
yeah
because we don't do anything about
yeah
it.
yeah we just cannot have a situation where our police officers are beaten up on camera, by a gang of illegal immigrants, and then nothing happens to the guys that beat up the cops. I mean, and they're let out. This is
Well, we're going to
unacceptable.
change it, and we're going to get them out of the country. You know, when I first got involved, they said you couldn't get them back to these countries. You couldn't take them back. In the case of Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador, some others, you couldn't get them back. And I said, really? Oh, you can't get them back? Because under Obama, he couldn't get them back. They'd fly them in, and they'd put planes on the runways in these countries so you couldn't land a plane. They'd bring them back. And the generals told me, sir, we can't bring them back. The countries won't accept MS-13 gang members. They won't accept them. And I said, really, how much do we pay these various countries in terms of economic aid, which is also somewhat ridiculous? And the answer was $750 million. I said, good. Tell them they're in default. They're delinquent. We're not paying them anymore because they won't accept
Yeah,
it.
it's
And you know what happened? They all called me,
yeah,
every
yeah,
one of them. They said, we would be honored to take them back, sir. We would be honored. It was so easy. But it's one of those things. And we got them back. We took in so many, the MS-13 is probably
yeah,
the worst gangs in the world. They're the most vicious, violent. We took them out of here by the thousands and got them out of here. And their countries took them back. And because I said, you're not getting any more economic aid. And once I said that, they were nice. They wouldn't take them back for
yeah,
Obama. They
yeah.
wouldn't take them back for anybody. And now we have a problem because we have this guy, and they don't take him back anymore with Biden because they don't respect him.
Yeah, yeah. It's just gotta be done. We just can't have whether they're citizens or not citizens. We can't have, because they won't prosecute citizens either. Not just illegals. So that if it's you can't have violent repeat violent offenders that are not that don't get
That's
incarcerated,
right.
because they will obviously, by definition, continue to hurt people. And I think where part of this comes from is that there's and I do sort of consider myself liberal in some ways. I mean, it's just that you want to have empathy for
Right.
people. Obviously, you want to have empathy for people. I totally agree with that. You want to have empathy, but you also have to have empathy for the victims of the criminals. And if you just have empathy for the criminals, it's actually shallow empathy. It's not real. You're not thinking. You have one layer deep empathy. You got to say, like, what if you don't incarcerate this person? Who are they going to hurt? Who are they might kill someone. They might rape someone. If you don't incarcerate them, you have to have empathy for the victims. And there's a lack of empathy for the victims of the criminals, and too much empathy for the criminals. It doesn't make sense. That's why you want to have deep empathy for society as a whole, not shallow empathy for
That's right.
criminals.
And we have to give our police officers the dignity and the respect that they deserve. And we have to let them do their job. They can do a great job, but we have to let them do their job. And if we don't do that, it's going to all disappear. There's never been a society like this where you're allowed to do anything you want and nothing happens. And I'm talking about violent crime. And it's going to get more violent because these are really, really violent people. And we're going to get them out of our country, and we're going to get them back to because they were sent here by the presidents and by the various people that run those countries. And I know every one of those guys. And they're smart people, and they're streetwise people. And they really think that the USA is stupid. They think we're run by stupid people, and they happen to be right. But when I was there, we had no problem. We got them out. We took out thousands of MS-13 gang members. We brought them back. And now, again, it's the same old story. We don't do it. And they actually gave them a big increase in aid. They raised it up to billions of dollars, and they get nothing for it. So I hope everybody's going to vote for Trump, and we're going to get this country straight. And
Yeah.
I didn't need this.
I,
I'm
I
like you. I didn't need this. I had a very nice
yeah,
life. I didn't need to go
yeah,
through
yeah.
court systems and go through all the other stuff and run at the
Sure.
same time. I have to run. I have to go through fake trials with, in some cases, corrupt judges, totally corrupt judges. I didn't need it. I had a nice life. I have great locations. I have beautiful oceans that I have places. But I felt it was important. And if I had to do it over again, you probably think I'm crazy for doing it, actually. But if I had to do it over again, I would have done it over again because this is so much more important than me or my life. We're going to save this country. This country is going down. And these people are bad people that we're running against, and they're liars. They make statements. They do things that are so bad. They say they're going to make a strong border. They say they've been great on the border, and they've been the worst in history. They say they're
Yeah,
going to
it's
stop
horrible. Like
crime,
the
and
facts speak for themselves. The
it's so
facts
incredible.
speak for themselves. Like it's gotten to the point where people just don't even bother reporting crime in a lot of
That's
cities
right.
because they know nothing is going to happen. Um, that's what I hear anecdotally from people all the time. So it's just my values. I'm just saying to people out there, like the things I think are important for the future is like we've got to have safe cities, we've got to have secure borders, we've got to have sensible spending, and we've got to have deregulation, and
Right.
so we can have a prosperous future. And then we want to have some exciting, sort of moonshot projects that people can get fired up about. And that's the future I'm looking for. And I'm pro environment, but I'm not against. I'm not like I don't think we should vilify the oil and gas industry because they're keeping civilization going right now, and but I do think we want to move at a reasonable speed towards a sustainable energy economy. Those are my values, and I think and so I mean that's uh, why I'm supporting you for president.
Well, I
So
appreciate. We're going to give incentive to companies to come into our country, not to leave our country. We're going to be giving tremendous incentives. We want companies to build here, not to build in other locations, and we want to create jobs. And again, it's about the American dream. You don't hear about the American dream anymore, Elon. You don't hear. You're the American dream in the truest sense, but you don't hear about the American dream anymore, and you're going to hear about it. People, they need that incentive to go out
yeah,
and do it, and they're going to love their lives. I mean, they're going to look forward to getting up in the morning and going to a job that they love, not a job that they can't stand, or not any job at all where they have no money, where they
yeah,
literally have no money, and then they end up with violence and lots of other problems. No, we're
yeah.
going to do some great things, and I learned a lot in the first. We had a great economy and all of that. We rebuilt the military, we did so much, but I also learned the best people. I learned the good people, the smart people, the dumb people, the people that can do things. The people, you learn. When I first came in, I tell people I was in Washington, D.C. only 17 times, according to the fake news media. I was in 17 times. I never stayed over. And you don't know people. You rely on other people to give you names, and then you realize the people you relied on weren't so good. Now, we had great people, but we also had some where I wouldn't have, used them had I known. Now I
Yeah.
know everybody. And I think we're going to really turn things around fast. We have no choice. Otherwise, we're not going to have a country. And I really appreciate this. Has been, to me, it's been a lot of fun being with you. You're an amazing guy. You've done an incredible job and a great inspiration to people, a great inspiration. And I hope you keep going and just continue to do well. And we're going to have a big election coming up. And I think November 5th will be the most important day in the history of our country. I think that election will be the most important election. And I think it'll end up being maybe the most important day in the history of our country, because if
Yeah.
we don't win, I just feel so sorry for everybody.
No, I think we're at a fork in the road of destiny of civilization, and I think we need to take the right path, and I think you're the right path. So I think
Well,
that's what it comes down to.
thank you very much, Elon. It's a great honor, and we'll do it again sometime. And it's been really fun, and I hope you got a lot of viewers. I hear you got a lot, but I hope you
Sure.
got
Yeah.
I know you got a lot of them. So I appreciate it. I'll see you soon.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Elon. Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay. Wow. That was 3 hours and 16 minutes minus like an hour because they were late. Well, I'm going to go ahead and do a summary of the whole thing. How does that sound? I've pretty much got the summary ready here, so we'll do this in just a moment. Of course, now my computer's pinwheeling, so we'll just give it a second here. But anyway, thank you so much for watching that with me. We'll go through a full summary here, and we'll add some commentary. Obviously, we added some commentary during it, but I think there are going to be a lot of people who would like a summary rather than listen to the whole 2 hours. So I'm going to go fill it in, so to speak. All right, here we go. All right. Wow, Donald Trump and Elon Musk just held an interview on X. It was about 42 minutes delayed after Elon Musk suggested that there was a distributed denial of service attack, burying basically all of their available bandwidth and preventing the stream from actually starting. Did end up getting resolved about 42 minutes in, and we were able to begin. So the first 15 to 20 minutes were really about the assassination attempt. Elon Musk talking about how motivating it was to see Elon Musk was saying that it was motivating to see Trump basically get shot at under fire and then get up and say, fight, fight, fight. Elon saw this as strength under fire and said, this was part of why I chose to endorse you. Trump went into a discussion about how immediately he knew it was a bullet he got hit by. It was a miracle he didn't get hit. The counter sniper, who was about 400 yards away from the other side of the podium, not the near ones, took a shot and took out the shooter, a sniper who had been with the Secret Service for 23 years and had never faced something like this. Donald Trump then went on to talk about how there was an officer who was boosted up, who badly hurt his ankle, but may have distracted the shooter because it should have been an easy shot for the shooter, and whether it was the shooter was distracted because of the officer who came up, or a miracle that Donald Trump slightly moved his head to look at that border chart, on the chart with border statistics on it. He doesn't know, but he does say that it makes him think that he believes in God more than he ever has before, and that other people should consider believing in God more as well after that. Both Elon and Donald Trump, they're sort of nodding to the miracle that happened here, but also arguing that it seems like if there's one building that should have been covered, it would have been the building where the shooter went to. Elon argued, if you literally just looked at that site and said, what would the best place be to go and shoot the president from? It would have been that roof the shooter went to. And the fact that it didn't have coverage was wild. It did seem like Trump was reserved and hesitant to sort of bag on the Secret Service there, which kind of makes sense given that he's kind of protected by the Secret Service every day. But anyway, Elon wraps it up by saying you can't fake bravery. And then we finally get into a new topic, like the border. So Elon asks if Trump is supportive of legal immigration. The conclusion is essentially yes, but people need to be vetted. Donald Trump says that people are coming here illegally and that dangerous immigrants are coming in from Asia, Africa, the Middle East, and those stupidly and horribly bombing Israel are able to come in over here unchecked. Elon Musk says, look, most illegal immigrants are probably not bad people, but we should have legal immigration with a vetting process. Trump here says that other countries are basically emptying their prisons and taking their drug dealers and gang members and they're sending them to America. It's difficult to fact check this one. There aren't a lot of available direct links to this because you're basically trying to prove a negative, right? That like, is that actually... It's a challenging one to fact check. Obviously, this is one that Donald Trump believes. Other people say, well, I mean, it could be happening. It's harder to link. Here's what we do know. We do know that Joe Biden in 2023 extended the temporary protected status to nearly 400,000 Venezuelan migrants. A lot of those were likely not vetted, and they were given work authorization essentially to stay in America and work in America. And then, of course, you get instances like what happened in June of 2024, where a Venezuelan migrant was accused of shooting at two officers in New York, and then later suggesting in an interview with detectives that he came from an area in Venezuela where people just shoot at the cops, that's just what people do. This is just an example of potentially a bad apple, or it's an example of what Donald Trump says. That is, unvetted people are coming over, and they're coming straight from their prisons or from their gangs, and they're shooting at cops or Americans, which, frankly, it's exactly what happened in that instance, at least allegedly. Anyway, so it's a tough one here, but obviously giving blanket amnesty to unvetted immigrants will always introduce some bad apples into the country. Trump says that these are all rough people coming across. These are people we don't want in our country. Elon Musk talked about going to the border and suggesting that they're surprisingly not Mexicans, that it's actually surprisingly a lot of people from the rest of the world. It's sort of like the doorway of Earth into America is what Elon suggested. Donald Trump talks about how he came up with no tax on tips and how Kamala Harris is now copying him. Trump talked about 88,000 IRS agents the Biden administration wanted to hire and get funding for, and suggest that many of them were assigned to go after you. It's worth noting here that Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen did sign a directive suggesting that those IRS agents should direct their efforts at those making over $400,000 a year, but it's unclear what the effect of that Treasury directive actually would have and how many of those 88,000 IRS agents do go for people making less than $400,000 per year. That's unclear right now. Donald Trump goes on to say, if the other administration gets in that let 20 million illegal immigrants in, you'll have 40 to 60 million people coming in from all over the world. Elon Musk says, yeah, if they get in, you'll have 4 more years of open borders. I'm not sure we'll have a country anymore. Now, Donald Trump's suggestion that Biden let in 20 million migrants is a little difficult to quantify, given that, at least as of 2020, the centrist organization, the Migrant Policy Institute, counted 11 million migrants in America as of 2022. Now, that number could have grown in 2023 and 2024, but that number's been growing for well over a decade, and it's at about 11 million per their estimate. So, I mean, I'm not sure that you can fully blame Biden for all of those 11 million, or even 20 if you round up from 11 to 20. And I don't know if you could really put a fact on, oh, we'll have 40 to 60 million more coming in, especially now that Biden did limit the asylum seeking available at the border. Now, an irony here that Donald Trump should really triple down on, which he just doesn't, is that the Biden administration literally used an executive order that Donald Trump used to seal up the border, to limit asylum seekers at the border. Now, the Biden administration put a little bit of like a lever on it, like, all right, if we get below 1,500 crossings, we'll open it up again or whatever. And this is really just to get past courts and get over some challenges that Trump had. But I mean, this is a great argument for Donald Trump to brag about, but he doesn't. Donald Trump should be bragging, going, Biden is literally using my policy that I used for the border. Like, it is the greatest endorsement Trump could possibly argue, and he doesn't argue it. So I'm surprised. I'm not sure if maybe his advisors just haven't made that connection, but it's been very clearly studied by The Economist and Barron's and another company. So, you know, I'm surprised by it, but whatever. Donald Trump says, I beat Biden. Now, though, we have Kamala. This is a coup. Under me, we had no Afghanistan, no Ukraine, no inflation. All right, a few things to break out down here. Great argument from Trump that I like it best when he phrases the hope, right? When he takes a hope POV and he says, look, you had wars under Bush, Biden, and Obama. You had no new wars under Trump. If he could just make a very clear promise and go, no new wars under Trump again going forward, I think that would actually really resonate with a lot of people. I think that's a really big Donald Trump strength, and he didn't hit on that either in this interview or discussion or whatever. Like, these are two very strong arguments that Trump has, and he just doesn't hit on them, so I'm surprised by that. Instead, he says, inflation was caused by oil. Okay, no. I see what he's trying to do. He's trying to bag on Biden for shutting down the Keystone XL pipeline, you know, that extension line from Canada. But wait a minute. Inflation was caused by much more than this. It was caused by excessive money printing and you know, all of a sudden everybody's sitting at home ordering stuff from Amazon, supply chains not being stable enough to support this. And so sure enough, prices go up because people have more money and more of an ability to pay and more of a willingness to pay because they're bored. So much more than oil caused the inflation that occurred. And it's likely would have had a lot of inflation under Trump as well. I've always previously joked that I thought it was funny that if Donald Trump didn't win in 2020, the next administration would be blamed for all the inflation, and then Trump could come back to no inflation, which is actually exactly what might end up happening. But then, like we always like to joke, fate loves irony. If any of that stresses you out, remember, you can always visit our paid promotion, metkevin.com/life, and get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes. Again, go to metkevin.com/life to get life insurance in as little as 5 minutes. Anyway, so Donald Trump says it's important to have someone in the Oval Office that evil dictators are afraid of. Donald Trump said he had a good relationship with Putin, and that Putin said to Donald Trump, if you're my friend, I'd hate to see you as my enemy. Donald Trump says, I don't want to do anything bad to Iran. I didn't want to do anything bad to them, but Iran was broke under me because I took away their oil funding from countries like China. This, by the way, is true. In 2019, Donald Trump and the Trump administration removed oil waivers so that, China was not, or other countries were not able to buy oil from Iran. A lot of these have been loosened under the Biden administration as the Biden administration sought to normalize relations with Iran. Unfortunately, now it's quite possible that Iran is going to launch a substantial strike against Israel, worse than what we saw in April. Not great. Donald Trump says, look, I was just straight with people. I said, hey, Rocket Man, referring to Kim Jong-un. Hey, Rocket Man, I have a red button. I know you have a red button too, but mine works, and it's much bigger than yours. So, obviously, a reference to who has bigger nuclear weapons here. Yeah. So, okay. Where's my button? Where's Big Pee-Pee? I only have...
Nice PP.
All right, I got that one. I guess that'll work. I need one that's big. Oh, here it is. Found it. Press the button,
Big
Kevin.
PP.
Yeah. Donald Trump goes on to say you can't let Russia and China align. Now you have an axis. This is true. You've got some big partnerships between Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. Not ideal. That's exactly why you could get into a World War III style scenario, which Donald Trump argues as well. He says the biggest threat to America is not actually global warming, it's nuclear warming. To this, Elon Musk agrees and suggests that people underestimate World War III, that people have forgotten how many nuclear missiles exist and are pointed at America. Donald Trump talks about Israel having an Iron Dome and that the United States deserves one as well. It's worth noting that the Iron Dome is colloquially used to discuss all of the defensive weapon systems that Israel has, including David Sling, Arrow 2, Arrow 3. These are substantially larger range, missile defense systems and cruise missile defense systems, ballistic missile defense systems, right, ICBMs. And they can actually intercept missiles intraspace. And so Donald Trump is likely referring to the longer range weapon systems, unless, of course, Mexico and Canada start using shorter range rockets on us. But anyway, Donald Trump questions like, why don't we have a system like this? Again, I don't think he's referring to the short range system. I think he's more referring to the larger range system. But anyway, Donald Trump says people care about the border, but food prices matter as well. Do you think Biden or Harris could do this interview? Kamala Harris only does friendly interviews, says Trump. Keep in mind, at this time, Kamala Harris also sent out an interview, a donation email requesting that people donate to the Harris campaign, suggesting that Elon Musk is a lackey for MAGA and that the richest man in the world is being a lackey for Trump. Anyway, then they had a little bit of debate about how interest payments today exceed our defense spending. Donald Trump says, hey, well, you make a great product at Tesla. Trump says we need a lot of new electricity thanks to AI, possibly double that the U.S. uses. It's unclear here if Donald Trump was referring to double the total energy output of the United States or just AI, but the actual fact check here is that electricity used by data centers is expected to double by 2030, not the entire country, and that is per the Electric Power Research Institute. Elon Musk says, I'd love to help on some form of commission on government spending. Happy to help cut. Donald Trump says, you are the greatest cutter I know. People go on strike and you say bye. Donald Trump refers to Javier Milei of Argentina, how he ran on MAGA, make Argentina great again, and he took it to the extreme, and I hear it's doing really well, says Donald Trump. Donald Trump says he really cut. Donald Trump then talks about how he wants to close the Department of Education and move education to the states. He refers to Gavin Newsom and says he does a terrible job and that with some supervision from the federal government, states on their own could do a better job. Trump says that the U.S. spends more per pupil than anyone else. This is close to true. Norway does beat us at about $18,000 per year. U.S. at about $15.5 per year, followed by Iceland, Belgium, Australia, Sweden, Germany. So we're definitely up there, like the 1 or 2 spot on spending per pupil, per child, per year. Donald Trump says some states will still suck, though, and they would need some monitoring. It's worth noting that Massachusetts is actually number 1 in K-12 school, Utah 6, Florida 10, Texas 28, California 37. Donald Trump says we got to get prices down. Reminder, PPI, it comes out tomorrow, the Producer Price Index and Consumer Price Index on Wednesday. I'll be live on those at the Meet Kevin Market Live channel. It's a different channel than this, but it's where we do every single morning when the market is open, a market opening live stream. You're welcome to join us there. Donald Trump says more people died from COVID under Biden than me. This is a little blurry. Obviously, there was no vaccine under Donald Trump, and you had about 500,000 deaths by February of 2021 per Pew Research. By Feb of 22, so about a year later, versus the 10 months that Trump had to deal with COVID, there were roughly another 500,000 deaths. And that's thanks to the Delta variant and Omicron pushes, but there was a vaccine approved during that time. I don't know how useful this is, though, because you've got different variants, and then you got vaccines, and it's sort of a mess, and the vaccines had efficacy issues. It was all a mess. But anyway, then there was this larger debate about, you could kind of tell some tension existed where Elon Musk was talking about we have to be careful about using fossil fuels too much because they're a finite resource, and eventually you'll pump too much carbon dioxide into the air and make it uncomfortable for people to live. But we do need to stop farmers from being basically attacked for carbon emissions. This refers to like methane emissions as well from cows and otherwise. Both of them agreed on that. But what Musk is really talking about here is carbon dioxide concentration levels in the air. Right now, we're expecting carbon dioxide concentration levels in the air to be about 421 parts per million. And Elon says we start having problems when we double that roughly and get to about 1,000 parts per million, because that level of carbon dioxide concentration could lead to headaches, drowsiness. These are like industrial concentration levels. It's not good, and we should stay away from that. Then you've got Elon Musk talking about how he's a big fan of solar. Donald Trump says that I'm waiting for you to come up with solar on the roof of cars. Let's be clear here. Solar is nowhere near efficient enough to be on the roof of cars. Toyota's Prius did it just to get the AC pre-cooling, not even fully cooling. But solar panels are like 21% efficient. It's miserable how inefficient they are. One day they'll get a lot more efficient, but you couldn't fit as many panels on the roof of a car to actually power it that you would really need. Don't get me wrong, I put solar panels on the roof of a little trailer I've had before, and it was great for charging up a little 12-volt battery so I could charge little drills that I had back there back when I was working as a real estate broker, and I do little handy repairs for my customers with the little trailer. But beyond that, it's pretty weak power that you're getting unless you have a lot of space to put a lot out. Anyway, they didn't really talk much more about this. Then Musk brings up nuclear, to which Trump thinks he's bringing up nuclear bombs again, but he's actually talking about nuclear energy. And Trump talks about how nuclear energy is just a branding problem, how you can't occupy land again for 2,000 years. He's referring to like Fukushima and Chernobyl. This is where Musk says that's not true. You can actually look up. There are some reports that suggest Chernobyl is actually safe to farm again. And Elon Musk says he went to Fukushima and ate locally grown fruit on TV. Trump jokes here and says, well, I hear you haven't been feeling so well lately. They kind of like left that one on like, let's agree to disagree. And they sort of moved on there to talk about how we don't have a president right now, bagging on Biden, that Kamala Harris has destroyed San Francisco and California. Nothing better than California for sun and water. And she destroyed it. This is true. California's weather is amazing. The sun's great, very sunny. Wonderful climate, but yeah, the politics can be a little crazy. But anyway, Musk says that Kamala Harris is far, far left, and they're trying to rewrite the narrative. It is true, by the way, that Kamala Harris did support Bernie Sanders' single-payer healthcare system, as well as some other previous plans now she's sort of walking back from, like defund the police. These things are true. Donald Trump also suggests that Kamala Harris believes in no fracking, and now all of a sudden she's saying she believes in fracking. Trump says she's anti-Israel. Worth noting that Kamala Harris did not go to Netanyahu's speech to a joint session of Congress, which is unusual because usually you do have a vice president there. Around 30 other representatives and senators didn't go, including the pro tempore of the Senate, Patty Murray, a senator, which is weird. Harris blamed this on travel and later ended up meeting with Bibi. Kamala Harris's husband is also a Jew, and he's pretty active in the anti-Semitic event community, anti-Holocaust or Holocaust awareness, events that he goes to and hosts and otherwise. So, kind of blurry here. But anyway, Donald Trump does talk about Israel's Iron Dome potentially being swamped if their enemies shoot enough at Israel's Iron Dome. He says that's what some people think Iran is looking to do. This is true. You're hearing a lot about this right now. You're hearing a lot of talk about potentially Iran striking Israel and overwhelming them with many days of attacks. Donald Trump suggests that Governor Walz, the VP, supports tampons in boys' bathrooms. It is true that Minnesota passed some pretty pro-transgender laws, but the actual bathroom tampon law had to do with gender-neutral bathrooms and stocking menstrual products in those gender-neutral bathrooms, so it's a little blurry here. Anyway, Elon Musk talks about we support the majority of NATO's funding. They both kind of find some common ground on this. Musk says it's impossible to have a conversation with Biden or Kamala. It's like they're NPCs. Donald Trump says, I see what you did in Vegas with the boring tunnel. It's incredible. You can do that everywhere. Musk says with deregulation, you could have very high-speed tunnels that are better than anything else in the world for high-speed transport between cities. Trump talks about how the FDA takes too long to get regulation or new drugs approved. He was one who got the right to try approved. The right to try is basically a compassionate use therapy for unapproved drugs. And it's kind of like, look, if you have a terminal illness, we'll let you try this experimental drug. You can't sue anyone. If the drug kills you, sorry, you're going to die anyway. But here, at least you have a chance. And Donald Trump signed that into law in May of 2018. I actually kind of support that. I'm a big fan of that. Donald Trump then talks about how cool it is that the Twitter Spaces had 67 million views. It doesn't doubt me that this content from Elon Musk and this debate will get a lot of views, many millions, tens of millions or more views. But Donald Trump was actually referring to the impressions counter, not the actual views the space had. Or how many listens it actually had, and we don't know how long people listened for, to the interview and what details they got, whatever. Small detail, doesn't really matter. Musk says he's not really a far-right guy. He supported Obama, stood in line to shake Obama's hand, but now feels like we're at a critical juncture for the country, that Kamala Harris would be even further left. Her dad was a Marxist economist. True, by the way, as verified by The Economist, which is a publication that hates Trump, Kamala Harris's dad was an unabashed Marxist economist. Donald Trump then complains how cops aren't allowed to do their jobs. Musk reiterates how demoralizing it is to risk your life to arrest someone and then the DA doesn't prosecute this. I saw this, by the way, myself as a police explorer. It's pretty bad. We did get bingo. We made our bingo card and we got bingo, which was pretty cool. You can kind of see some of the topics that were covered and not covered on screen now. And you can see we got bingo right down there in the middle, talking about walls and trans, fiscal spending being unsustainable. The event happened. That's our freebie. Russia, Ukraine comes up, and World War III came up. We didn't get any talk on crypto. Rockets were mentioned for like half a second, so I didn't check it off. Taiwan didn't get brought up. Drugs or homelessness didn't get caught up. No talk about the wokeism or donations. No talk on Cybertruck, family tax credit. Copy Kamala barely came up with she copied me on the no tax on tips, so maybe we could check that off. And the woke mind virus didn't really come up. There you have it. So if you like my sort of summaries, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate y'all. Goodbye and